Younger. But what kind of artist? Donald Pell knew he wanted to be an artist when he was younger, but what kind of artist he shared was up to speculation. With a mother who was a nursery woman and a fortuitous opportunity to go to a landscape conference when he was a teenager, Donald's passion for what he would later discover was landscape design became his life's trajectory. Whether by design or destiny, he's been able to paint the landscape with his naturalistic gardens, which have evolved in style over his professional career. I joined him in early spring in his own gardens at his design studio in Zone 6, Pennsylvania.
We started here when I bought the farm in 2008 and the markets were crashing, and so I almost went bankrupt. This was like my life savings right after I bought a home for my family.
Wow.
And so it was literally like, all right, well, I'm still a gardener.
Yeah.
How are we gonna make this fun, you know? So we bought plants like Miscanthus giganteus, like 6-quart pots, and they spread like wildfire so we could have a backdrop to our parking area.
And you had a landscape business prior, or no?
Yeah, I've been building gardens since I'm 19 professionally.
Wow.
My mother had a little nursery, and I thought I was going to play music professionally, so I was doing this to actually feed myself.
So that's why you're clubbing in this section.
Yeah, right. We have the party barn.
Oh, the party barn. You had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, we do.
Now, you said you started when you were 19 and your mother had a nursery, right? I've chatted with people where they don't even realize that landscape design, landscaping, just working in the landscape could be a profession.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, I always wanted to be an artist, and I was working on music, and I loved plants.
Yeah.
And I met this woman, Susan Jones, who became my mentor. She just thought I was a kind of a fun kid with really long hair. And I think she liked my energy, and she bought me tickets to a conference at Swarthmore.
Oh, really?
And I discovered Wolfgang's work, and all of a sudden it was like an epiphany, right? You found religion. I was like, I can be an artist. Like, this is what I want to do.
Artist of the landscape, essentially,
I mean, you know, we all kind of have ADHD in this field. Like, it's like constant excitement, right? It's always changing, the next project, the next plant composition.
Right.
And so that was it, really. I mean, it was like just this volley of working and being interested and then learning more as you go and discovering these people's work. And of course, the great American designers, the great European designers, even South American, like Roberto Burle Marx.
Right, absolutely.
And what a whirlwind of a career he had, you know, from like painting to pottery to gold
everything under the sun. We actually did a tour of like his exhibit at Longwood.
I was really looking for like kind of thuggish plants that would cover the ground playing cheaply and aggressively. We did have plants like Pygnanthemum mudicum over here.
I see the Pygnanthemum.
And it is coming back, but dodder, I don't know if you know dodder, it's a parasitic weed.
The parasitic weed that grows through the trees and stuff.
So we hit the lottery and we got it right in front of our design studio.
You gotta be kidding me.
Right? So we had to wipe out the front. We replaced it with Panicum Shenandoah, and now that has virus. So that's shutting down.
Wait, panicum has virus?
Yeah, there's some fungus, some leaf fungus, some viruses.
Specifically to panicum.
Well, we see it in Shenandoah a lot, unfortunately, which was like my go-to because it doesn't sow.
Yeah.
And it has such a neat form.
And it's the red one, the red
it
color.
It turns red in the autumn.
Oh.
And what I love to do is leave it up even into the following spring. You can see the allium bulbs. I would leave the panicum up. So with its dead tawny foliage, and it was like this great texture against purples of allium.
And is this a sedge in here?
No, this is actually Sessilaria autumnalis.
That's nice. So it gets that nice like yellowish orange color.
Yeah, and you can grow this in full shade, full sun. It does like even moisture, and we have pretty deep clays here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty effective.
I like seeing this because this is a plant that I just started to plant in our landscape, which we have a lot of clay. And I have it in kind of a partial shady area, but it almost looks like a sedge. It's like the color of a sedge when I look at it.
Yeah, more that like limey green.
Chartreusey green.
It doesn't get as lime in shade, which is nice too. But it's a great plant. We're growing like 4 different types of Sessilarias here, which are really fun. And when we do gardens, I'll blend them so there's more depth to the planting.
Yeah.
It's just not like the monochromatic color of autumnalis.
Yeah.
We'll have kind of Hefleriana will be a little taller, so it'll punch through that, and it has a tall inflorescence.
So is that a different cultivar or a different species?
It's a different species.
Ah, that's okay. That's a nice effect.
Yeah, so they're fun. And Carulia, another one, more blue-green with the tall kind of vasy inflorescence.
So you're saying there's a Cecilary for everyone?
For everyone, yeah exactly.
It seems you said you have clay, but it looks like a lot of, maybe it's just the pathways gravelly and hot and dry.
Well, in the gravel areas, which are fun because then we get free seedlings all the time.
Exactly.
They're always sowing in. And then we'll have thugs, you know, and I started a lot of my work when I was a kid, quite frankly, modeled after Wolfgang Irma, who was a German landscape architect who really kind of out of post-World War Germany was working with plants that would just cover the ground plane rapidly.
I think that was what somebody else had referred to. We did a tour and he's like, I want thuggish plants.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
it might have been James Golden.
It was James Golden.
When James and I met, we really kind of waxed poetic about Wolfgang's work, and we kind of hit it off right away because of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, plants like gooseneck, which are really the bane of the native plant movement, and yet it's a fantastic cut flower when this thing blooms. So like, why not have it? You know, you can have it in a localized area and use it for things like welcoming guests at the front door. Right. We have toad lilies, which there's a block. This is Synonome, but we have some toadgen around the corner, and man, the foliage is spectacular. I don't know if you know this plant, but
yes, a toad lily, and it gets mine that I have planted is like a little bit more of a purplish white speckled flower.
Speckled. That's Synonome. Toadgen looks spectacular around
now
the corner.
This is greater celandine, right?
It is.
I see it everywhere in Pennsylvania. I don't see it often in New York, strangely enough.
It can be really thuggish as well. Really just wants to seed into everything. So we'll use it in kind of like wild natural areas. It is a native or endemic to this region, you know, the Piedmont, but again, in a garden like this, it can start to sow into everything.
I see a little, maybe a thalictrum kind of.
Thalictrum mercurianum. Yeah, these are different Cecilarias in here. This is Greenlee, which is a hybrid between autumnalis and Carulia, which is really nice. And the rest of them are autumnalis. You can see that they've toned down a little bit in the shade. And this is Hefleriana. And I like doing this. Like we'll plant, and then you can talk to people about how they're just a little bit different. But you can see the inflorescence is much higher this time of year.
I can tell you're a plant person though, because you see the different shades of green.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you work with non-plant people, and they're just, it's all green, and you're like, no, there's different shades.
Oh my God, green is like the best color, and there's so many greens.
Right.
You know?
Is this bear breeches right
Yeah, this is Acanthus hungaricus.
It looks a little maybe more compact, or is it early in the season and then it gets larger?
I think this is one of the bigger ones.
Oh, okay.
From what I've noticed. I've actually found this in Pompeii, and I just saw it all over in Sicily last year, like growing on the cliffs. Fantastic plant.
Is this a Filipendula behind here, or what is
this? That's the Stilbe chinensis, purple candles.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's an enemy, Henri Jobert, which is a fantastic white selection.
And fulva, or?
That is fulva, Iris fulva. So
I love that coppery red color.
I love it too. We just had hummingbirds on it the other day.
Sure.
So good, right?
Yeah, with the Baptisia.
Yeah.
Can this handle a little bit more moist and wet conditions?
Yeah, that'll grow in kind of facultative wetlands.
Okay, but it's interesting because you have it right next to a Baptisia, which I think is more of a drier.
And that'll take mesic soil, so it can take, I wouldn't say really dry, but it'll take, you know, as long as the soils are deep and they can hold some moisture.
Yep.
We kind of just chop all the herbaceous material, and so it's self-mulching all the time. So the soils do hold water, and we don't bring in other mulches other than when we're first planting an area. So it's just kind of you know, cut it and leave it. You know,
I'm always amazed because you have this beautiful garden here. Does anybody around the area say, "Oh, you have such a beautiful garden. I'm inspired. Let me plant some plants"? It always, you think it would just
catch on.
Well,
interestingly enough, if you drive through Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, I don't know if you've been to the Scott Arboretum.
I have, yes.
But that whole region. Of course, Rose Valley was there, and one of Frank Lloyd Wright's proteges worked there. It has a rich history of art and design, and there's all of this horticulture going on in that community. We certainly have people who drive by and know about us, or they'll ask, like, "Oh, that's your farmhouse?" Like, I noticed plants, like a lot of plants, you know. But I don't know. More people seem to know about us, like, out of this region than just right around here. You know?
I see. But I'm always just saying, you know, we got rid of our lawn in a certain area and right by the road, and we started planting gardens, and our neighbors do love it, but it's not enough to get them over the edge. You know, maybe they'll plant a few daffodils or something. That's the extent of it.
You know, it's not for everybody because we know it's work, right? But it's like a labor of love, and you have to, you know, I always say I want our clients to be gardeners, and that's what we're looking for. I don't care necessarily what the budget is. I want people who are obsessed with, you know, letting us do what we do, and they need this in their lives.
I'm surprised you don't have like some espalier or something on this. Like,
well, interestingly enough, I'm just starting to think about more fruit plants. Like we have these native pawpaws, which not my favorite fruit, but I think the trees are spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the pyramid shapes.
Really cool, right? And not to be underdone by the American cotinus.
Yeah, smoke bush.
Yeah, I love that plant.
Yeah,
and
it's a great
not enough people are propagating that up here north.
Like the straight species.
Yeah, I don't know why, because the autumn color on that plant is spectacular. And when we get them, they're really pretty scrawny looking, so you have to coppice them back hard. But they really are spectacular after a while.
Is this a Calamagrostis, Carl Forster?
Yeah. And we have a nice couple blocks of them down below.
Yeah.
They're really...
It's a lovely grass for structure in the garden.
Oh my God, I leave them up into like March. They look so good.
we don't cut them until maybe February, March is when we cut them down just to get that new fresh growth. But I love them in the fall months too.
Yeah, I think they're spectacular.
And then Quercifolia, which is my favorite hydrangea of all groups.
I love it. I was always kind of underwhelmed by arborescence until I've been working in Asheville and seeing that in the mountains, like the straight species arborescence, and how beautiful that can be littered through a woodland. And I just started finding some species local to here, so we're trying to propagate those.
Nice.
My
Quercifolia tends to, I mean, you guys are warmer than us, but my Quercifolia is maybe just starting to leaf out right now, so it still looks a little skeletal.
Yeah, a lot of our gardens late here this year. You guys are a little early to visit.
Yeah,
but, you know,
but you like this is inspiring. I mean, we were mowing early this year, but all of our other plants were late. Like our grass was early.
Yeah, the cool season things were coming up. The warm season material was like, don't bother me.
Not right now. Yeah,
don't expect much. This is fun. I use clematis a lot, and I don't see people do this as just a ground cover, which I think is so much nicer than having like the inside of an arbor be all ratty looking.
It's funny. It's actually, we were mowing and string trimming, and we had one of the, like a nice native clematis, like growing on the ground, but I noticed you string trimmed it. And I was like, oh no, where is it?
Right, exactly.
I forgot to tell him that it was fine. It was one that spontaneously crops up.
I'm sure he'll never forget now.
No, I have to show it to him. He wouldn't even know where he would.
Right, exactly. And there's the phylacterum. Look, look at those stems.
But this is not our native one, is it?
No, this is Roche Brianum.
Roche Brianum, which has a beautiful purple frilly top.
Yeah, and the stem, I just think is so sexy. I mean, look at that.
I have this heavily planted. No.
Maybe.
Sandra would ask me about that one first.
You have, I'm sorry.
We have this in one of my gardens that I planted in, and I hope it seeds very well because I have like a few of them with our native ones. I like to plant the native sometimes right next to them. I feel like if there's a native pollinator that wants that specific one, then I'll do the native with the non-native.
Yeah, we're starting to embrace native plants.
Yeah, just a little bit. The Amsonia is tremendous on
that's
the backside.
Cabernet Montana Grande. This is the Tricertus. I mean, look at that foliage.
Look at that. That has a yellow flower? Or
no, it's like a soft pink. It's not speckled though.
Okay.
And it's earlier than Cinnamomum, which is nice. But I love that foliage as much as the flower any day.
Well, it's like a World Cup.
Right.
It's cup like it because it whirls around the stem.
Yeah. I just think it's
pleated.
So glossy and pleated, right? It looks kind of like our native false hellebore.
Yeah, that's true.
But that gets kind of ratty as the heat comes on. This one certainly does not. Yeah, that's Amsonia Cabernet Montana Grande.
Does it also get beautiful yellow foliage in the fall?
It has really great autumn foliage, and not as, I think, spectacular as Hebrechtii. Or another one we're growing is Montana, and that has really nice foliage. But they're all fantastic.
And then did the Asclepias just put itself in there? Or
that's just our common Serratia.
Yeah.
We edit those out, but I leave them. You know, I don't want them all over the place. Right. But certainly we love the benefit, and the flowers beautiful and the fragrance. But we certainly manage that a little bit. it.
And some astrantia that has tucked itself
Yeah,
in.
it's kind of high and dry. This was a deck when I bought the farm, and we had to push the grade out. So this did get a little compacted. I think gardeners would do a better job, but it is a little hot and compacted and dry up here. A little dry for astrantia, but a few have remained. I probably had, 20 up here.
Yeah,
but
the pink flowers.
They really that's Roma. But I really love that plant.
It's a great cutting. Like, it kind of reminds me of a nice, like, good cottage garden plant. It's a great cut flower.
Yeah.
And it holds for quite some time.
It does, with a cut flower, for sure.
And it seems like you really have repetition with the salvia here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it this time of year.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I mean, you probably get a lot of hummingbirds that way too.
We do, for sure. This is East Friesland up top, and then I have a lot of wasui on the bottom, which we actually discovered out at Chicago Botanic Garden. Laura, who was managing that for a time, told us that was the most successful of the salvias. It stays a little more compact, so it doesn't look real tattered when it starts to shut down later in the season.
Yeah. So what takes over for the salvia, or does anything take over once the salvia starts to wane?
I mean, come on. There's so much. And here we have Prunella vulgaris, which we actually propagated from our field. And that can be real thuggish. So in with grasses like the Spiralis and Cecilarias, it'll kind of keep it in check. But that's a fantastic summer bloomer. Before that, we had the Baptisias. That's Baptisia minor, purple smoke.
Which doesn't grow that tall.
It's not that tall. Fantastic color most years, I would say. And of course, we have some cone flowers up here.
You have some echinacea coming in. This one's starting to come in.
Starting.
And then the Nepeta.
Yeah, just some old-fashioned Walker's Low, but very nice.
Yeah, there's one garden on my land that we started to have some more of those chartreuse foliage, like chartreuse on the loose, and actually really stands out. Haven't seen the yellower leaved varieties, but it looks nice. It's kind of like that, what you're seeing, that chartreuse color back there.
Of the Carex. That's a really cool Carex that's totally underused.
What is it called?
Called Carex alata. And it has this beautiful basy form. Some of them do get limier, and I discovered it because Alan Armitage's book on perennials, when I was a kid reading that, had one called Bowles Golden, which I didn't love that color, but I thought, well, the form is really cool. And I looked high and low to try to find the stray species until finally getting it. But you don't see it used much in the trade. I think it's a fantastic plant.
Oh, and this one is this blue ice?
This is blue ice, which they thought was native.
But it's not,
It's orientalis.
I like this one though, because sometimes you get compact, you have it in the front of border. It's really...
You know where it's really effective for us is drainage swales, where there's a lot of erosion. This thing's just a beast. I mean, it really will stabilize soils, and it's beautiful, and it stays really clean. The autumn color is nice.
Yeah.
You have to be careful what you partner it with, because it can run over some things. But that's one of the big challenges for working with these materials, is like finding plant communities that work together, right? Because they can push and pull a lot.
Well, it could be challenging, because when you're a landscape designer, you could pull from not just native plants, but even non-native plants, and your plant palette then expands. Like, it's all trial and error.
I was never dogmatic about native plants. I actually feel like the way we compose plants, we can get more native plants in gardens, because people still love like the beauty and the quality of these plants.
Well, it's also just the discovery of it. When you find something new or interesting, or you like the color, like the GMs you have planted. One of the cultivars, Mai Tai, has such a really interesting corally, orangey, peach color. I loved it. I was like, I kind of want that in my garden.
I think we have that in our nursery as well, Mai Tai.
Yeah.
This is a totally tangerine, from Brett at Intrinsic.
Is this dry? Like it looks like a dry scape.
Through here is pretty dry. The south slope is really dry.
Yeah.
You can see we sow poppies in.
Poppies in there, that are coming up. The salvia looks stunning. Like, you know
so
what I mean?
Good, right? This is wasui, and we mix Blue Hill in here with
which
wasui,
is a lighter purple,
and Caradonna, which is even darker.
Which I feel like is a classic, you know? And oh, look at the little, is this Brizza? Yeah.
Yeah. It's really beautiful, right?
I found this like growing in our meadow.
Look at this.
And I don't know if it was always there, but like when the light hits it, and when the sun sets, and the wind is blowing, it is so magical. Yeah. It's a great, this is also another great flower. And this is one of our natives.
That's Fluffy Aciliata, Downy Snowman.
It looks like some, or the bluish glaucous one is Iridium, which has a beautiful structure.
Yeah, we just got a new one from Brett called Prairie Moon, I think, and it's a dwarf. So we have a garden up the mountains, and that is just sowing in. It loves the sharp drainage, and so it's really trying to take over that garden. And so that owner does go and cut the umbels back before it goes to seed. And I'm hoping Prairie Moon's just a little less viable seed.
Yeah.
But
how do you edit this? Like, and do you appreciate the movement of the plants where you may not have intended, or how do you?
I mean, some of that. So we try not to be too controlling, but also we want to think about visual composition all the time. I use these Silphiums. This is Terebinthinaceum. That plant wants to seed into everything.
Right.
So we try to not even use that for its flower, because that will just want to seed in and take over everything. Right next to it, Scutellaria incana. I mean, that plant wants to sow into everything, but such a beautiful blue flower in the summer.
Is this the blue-eyed grass? Or?
This is no, I have that over here though.
Okay.
This is Allium Millennium.
Oh, Allium Millennium. Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of different alliums in the garden. To answer your question, you know, one of the ways we use this garden is a teaching tool for our own team. So I get to work with them maybe a couple hours a week, and we talk about editing and managing these landscapes. You know, how do we do it with as little resources as possible? Because, you know, I didn't come from like any kind of money. So we're like trying to build a business and be conservative and use this as a teaching tool for us, exploring different plant communities, and also share with our team and learn here. So we let them edit sometimes. We're all show them what I see and then let them make decisions on their own. Right. Which is, I think, really valuable.
Phlomis?
Yeah, this is tuberosa.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I love that. It reminds me also of like a cottagey garden plant.
Right.
You know, that works well.
It can be really aggressive. Here, it's you know, pretty well behaved. We certainly saw it retract with our winter.
Our winter was very cold.
And we have a lot of holes in this garden that we've never seen before. And I think it was the really cold temps, the warming up, and then the big dip we saw again.
Right. Same for us.
So it really wreaked havoc on these plants. But, you know, overall, I think as the temperatures warm up, we're going to see things infill.
And what kind of grasses are these? Is this a moor grass or?
Yeah, these are Millennias, which again, I've been obsessed with this plant for a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of that it gets a gauzy inflorescence that you could see through.
Right, and the autumn color on these, you know, they can turn these spectacular mangoes in October. We've been trying to put this garden on tour more like late October when most people are like, what? Garden tour?
I say that's when my September, October for me, I think that's when I plant the most actually. So that seems always like the best time. And people are like, oh, my garden's dead at that time.
No,
I'm like, are you kidding? Mine's just kicking off.
This garden is at its best.
That's how I feel. Interesting.
Yeah, I love this garden late. Yeah. And I love to show the people who really don't think about cool and warm season grasses to show them the quality of these plants that time of year, you know, in these compositions. So often we see people, they're cutting all those plants down at the end of the year, right?
That's a real revelation for me when I realized that there was cold and warm season grasses. That, you know, and it started to make sense that like a lot of our lawn grass is a cool season grass, and that's why it looks brown in the hottest temperatures. And people are trying to throw fertilizer and things on it, but it's just like it's like kind of against the nature of the grass. The grass is like, I don't want to grow at that time, you know.
Look at this.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So good, right?
And that's the movement. I mean, the whole. I think that people have come to the idea of grasses and sedges for the movement in the garden, which is just as important.
Yeah, I love it.
We were installing a meadow, and I would say it's roughly 70%, 60 to 70% grasses, and it really knits the whole thing together.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And these plants, the forbs, look so much better to me coming through the grasses. You know, they look almost like they're tortured when a lot of them are in the sun by themselves, but often you'll have plants like geraniums reaching up through the grasses, and they elongate and they look so much more graceful as opposed to if you put them in sun, they just look like this tortured clump. You know?
They look lonely.
They do. So this was kind of an interesting project where we had to install a sump pump, and we do have a farm drain down the bottom. And I thought, well, instead of just bringing it all the way down, why don't we release it up top and we can grow some wetland plants. And so plants like Carex skingomensis, lobelias, and chelone. And we get to grow those plants instead of just considering it a waste product. We're now looking at it as like an amenity.
Oh, and you have Hordeum jubatum.
Yeah, isn't that great?
That is a lovely grass. It's a cool season grass, isn't it?
It is.
And it just kind of sows around. I guess in a pasture land, it's terrible because it gets caught in like sheep and cow. But but the way that the light reflects on that.
It's ornamental. It's in the barley family. I think it's fantastic.
I did plant that in our low mow native lawn, but it just kind of goes around. Like it goes where it wants to go. Yeah. And this is another phlomis right here, which I love that world flower.
Yeah, we saw a lot of this in Europe, actually. More there than we see in the States.
I very rarely see phlomis in the United States.
Yeah. More salvias, verticillata.
And your lobelia is the red-leaved one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I never would have planted that. I don't really like red foliage plants.
Oh, really? I disagree with you. I like the red foliage. I think the reason why I went with red foliage is because the land we got was owned by a gentleman who loved Japanese maples. So you get a lot of Japanese maples with red foliage. It worked well with the Japanese maple. So I started to get red so it connected across the landscape.
Yeah, well, you see there's not a lot of red here.
There is not, no. So why did you decide on this?
Well, I'll tell you, the same woman who used to run Chicago Botanic Garden, who we met her as a young gardener. We were in Amsterdam with her, and we were off to see a garden in Rotterdam. She said, oh, you got to go stop at this park. I'm going to say the woman's name wrong, but I believe it's Jacqueline van der Kloot.
Oh, well, you would know because you're Dutch.
Van der Kloot?
Van der Kloot?
Van der Klout?
Van der Klout.
Sounds right, I'm sure. Could we be wrong?
Completely misinterpreted.
Saunders straight off the boat from
the
Netherlands,
Nice.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Anyway, we went to Rotterdam, and just in this park, was a garden she had designed, and she used these over-the-top colors, like
Uh-huh.
these reds and pinks
Yeah.
and some lavenders together. And I
Yeah.
was like, it was like kind of jarring, but interesting.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me try this red foliage
Uh-huh,
lobelia.
uh-huh.
And
It's nice that you
See-
branched out, you know
oh, I'm
what I
always
mean?
trying. I'm always trying. It's hard, you know, I'm
Yeah.
getting older.
Yeah, I'm stuck in my ways,
Stuck
you
in
know.
your ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some geranium, roseannes? Or?
Yeah, this is Roseanne.
Mhm.
It doesn't always seem to be that. Roseanne. Right.
Roseanne.
We get Sting to redo that.
Only old school music, but Roxanne. But
Right.
you know, we could
You can change it
change it a little bit.
right.
Yeah. Is this an oreganum or?
Yeah, this is vulgaris, straight species.
Oh wow.
Which I need all the time for my Greek salads. So,
Oh, so
I have
good.
these out here.
So nice.
Vernonias.
Wait, where are your Vernonias?
Well, this is Vernonia latimana.
Coming up. Okay.
Yep.
I always like how I like to plant these right next to the Amsonias because they just, I don't know, they just have that similar leaf shape, you know,
Right.
as they're coming up.
Yeah.
Is this
we'll
like an
confuse
iron
really good-
butterfly?
No,
or
this is
strip-
not. And to be honest, I'm forgetting which one I put here.
Iron lady.
We have iron butterfly over there.
Okay, iron butterfly.
And
Yeah.
that does tend to lodge in gardens.
Uh-huh.
Now we have it in shaly soil, and it's been up there for like 5 years, and it hasn't flopped over.
Flopped
at all.
over. Mm.
But I'm trialing a couple other ones just to see how they do. And different panicums. This is squaw from Kerplumel.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Well, they have a number of different selections.
Kind of a bit more bluey, you know.
It does have some blue.
Uh-huh.
It was more upright over there when we planted it, so I
Uh-huh.
continued some. But then last year, after 3 years, they just exploded and they get really broad.
Ah,
And what we're really trying to understand is which ones have extremely viable seed, because they can be really aggressive in the
Aggressive
garden
and-
and take over everything.
yeah. You need to have something that if you're gonna want it aggressive. I think I planted one. Is it Moonlight? It's a blue one. I can't remember. It's
Not
a real
Northwind?
not Northwind. It's a blue one, and it has. I mean, it's not true to seed, but it spreads
Oh, yeah.
like pretty. I mean, it's in the meadow, so it doesn't matter to me. But
Right. Northwind here sows out aggressively as well.
bluegrass.
Yeah, that's
Exactly,
Schizocarum.
yep.
That's Standing Ovation, which is primarily all I use in these heavy clays.
Ah,
All the other ones tend to flop on me.
Hmm.
So Standing Ovation's like a no-brainer.
that's good to know. All these little tips.
Yeah, but
Standing
they're
Ov-
different in every cultural condition. You know, you have a shalier site.
Right.
You could probably get away with some of the really old selections or even some species, but
We did a
Uh,
tour at North Creek Nurseries, and they had a whole bluegrass, and you could see just in their soils like what one was flopped, what
flopping or
one's like,
lodging. Yeah.
you know, praising the good Lord. You know? So,
I got to get over there.
and what do you have planted in here? These trees.
This is Nyssa sylvatica.
Oh,
and then,
beautiful colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love them. And this whole area drains. We actually, my superintendent, who actually now runs our design department,
Mhm.
he got married in here. We built this woodland, which
Aw.
was covered in trash, literal trash when I bought this farm.
Wow.
There was a dump truckload of asphalt in there. You
Yeah.
couldn't even walk through all the poison ivy and honeysuckle.
Right.
And we gutted it to build like a woodland garden where he could have his ceremony. And
What a nice wedding gift.
it was so nice. Well, I wanted a garden, and
Yeah.
we just decided to work together
Yeah.
every night, after the day was done, and just start the garden.
That's fantastic.
But it does drain really aggressively through here.
Mhm.
You can see that's a wetland that we're actually restoring.
Hmm.
And the day before his wedding, it looked like Class 5 rapids coming through here.
Are
I
you
kid not.
serious?
And the next day it was completely dry.
Huh.
So it was a nice event. The wetland is actually getting taken over by canary reed grass.
That is the one grass that we had to we're solarizing out of our meadow.
Oh, you have to
and-
let me know how that works.
Well, it did. We planted 2 years in the making now. Well, it's only 2 years in the making we solarized it for a year, and then we did plugs and
Okay.
thuggish plugs like
Yeah, right.
the pycnanthemums and things like that. And then and now we solarized the back half last year, and then we rolled out one of the Meadow Lab
Okay,
carpets.
Yep.
It's like a carpet of meadow that Pinelands Nursery partnered with
Right.
Meadow Lab on, and that is coming up for the first year.
Okay.
So we are
That's
fingers
exciting.
crossed. Yeah, but I think because we were a place where they foraged cattle, and we found out that our neighbor's horse really likes it, so that was probably
right.
planted as a forage grass, I would
It could
imagine.
have been, or just
Yeah.
sowed in. I mean, one of the problems we have is, it becomes kind of rural here,
Hmm.
and we have all these adjacencies that are just left unmowed, and so
Mhm.
everything's blowing in.
Blow
here.
it, yeah.
So
blow
we
it.
have all the challenges of managing just like
Right.
spontaneous things
Yeah,
blowing in.
yeah.
Not to mention we have a rich bird habitat here. This is
They
really
poop
rich.
everything out.
They do.
Yeah.
Really rich for red-winged blackbirds and
Uh-huh.
even eastern bluebird.
Yep.
So we're trying to reclaim that. We treated about half of that, and it seems effective.
Treated meaning like you put pesticide on
We
it or
did.
herbicide on it. Yeah, to try to kill that.
and we're trying to do that incrementally because I don't
Yeah.
want to knock out the habitat.
Right.
We're just trying to do small steps, and we had tons of New York ironweed, and the
Mm-hmm.
diversity of that in here was so amazing, from purple stems and green
Mm.
stems and white flowers and purple
Mm.
flowers, purple stemmed asters and sweet box, and we have
Mm.
wild turkeys walk through here all the
Oh,
time.
that's great.
So we're trying to restore that and just proceeds sparingly.
Yeah.
You know, and I know.
Do you make selections out of like when you see like a purple stem and a white
Well,
flower?
we haven't yet, but
Yeah.
you know, as a teaching tool, it's really fun to just walk people through and show them that diversity.
Yeah.
You know, I think it starts them thinking about where selections come from, because often, again, this is part of the native plant movement. We're so against anything with a name, right?
Yeah,
but
I know.
often those names are just selections.
Yeah, that were like if I'm thinking about one of my favorite plants is the aster snowflurry, which it's a prostrate Symphyotrichum white flower that is prostrate, but somebody had found that natively growing, you know, so it was really, and even our meadow now, and maybe it's because I have some cultivated varieties I planted in our garden, but I was walking with a friend through our meadow and we have some asters that are just pinker than others.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, or even a little bit on light of lavender when they should just be white.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, you know? And,
it is. I found a really amazing echinacea over here that had these really dark stems. And I wrote James Brown, who owns the New Moon. I was like, James, like, can we, you know, do tissue culture on this? And he's like, man, there's like 5,000 echinaceas out there. Like, nobody cares. I was like, all right.
And this is the blue-eyed grass that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, which is a common cultivar.
Yeah, much bigger flower than just the species, which, you know, they're pretty kind of nondescript when you have just a straight species.
And is this a carex again?
They're carex. I have laxicolmus in here, and socialis, and Descomsias, and out on the edge, more cecilarias.
Descomsias, which is this.
Yeah, this is straight species, Cespitosa. And even these, there's a lot of variation. You'll see some. If you look over here, see how much more upright that is?
Yeah, that is much more upright.
Really
right behind
interesting,
Sandra,
you know, whether that's the cultural condition of the soil it's sitting in, or maybe just the genetics of that plant. And then you can ask yourself as a designer, you know, do I want that quality?
Right, or do you want something that's a little bit more
loose?
Yeah, loose.
Yeah, but you know, these are all interesting conversations to have and think about in horticulture for sure.
And then here's a hardy ground orchid kind of tucked away in there.
Yeah, that's Bledius, right? Which I love.
And some Alchemilla mollis.
No, really,
which is it's a great ground, like high ground cover.
Totally. I mean, it's old fashioned, but why not? It's great. I love it.
It's kind of got that like a more shocking chartreusey yellow color, you know, for the flower.
And
but I love how the rain falls on the leaf and looks.
It's the best, right? You always just want to photograph it. So good. There's some Cecilaria helferianas within autumnalis. So see how that changes just a little bit?
With the darker,
and that is what I'm so interested in, that like subtlety. I'd say as a designer, I was always like so heavy-handed and thuggish, really like impressionistic bold drifts. And now I'm like really interested. There's that.
There's a softer side to it after all, Don.
Don't tell anybody. Everyone knows.
He's just a teddy bear on the inside.
But it's really nice. And again, look at this Adrenium lofiovianum, which is like really one of my favorites. We've been buying this from Holland every year and propagating it ourselves.
Look at the Dutcher. The Dutch Dutcher. Look at this.
The Dutch, they even have cool American plants that they sent over to Holland.
I mean, look at Liatris spicata. Like it's always
all over there
from Holland. You know?
All the Veronicastrum.
Yes, that's right.
Went over, and I think it was Ernst Pegel's selected out strains for that, and now they're coming back to the States again.
And these are all Steelby?
That's a Steelby chinensis, purple candles, and Calamagrostis brachytrichas. And one of my favorite upland sedges, this is Carex albicans, which I think is really fantastic.
The white tipped one.
Yeah, oak sedge or white tinged, I think they call it. But really drought tolerant.
I love to see that you're working a lot with sedges. Is this kind of, I love the sedge report that came out of Mount Cuba, because that really informed what I was going to be planting in our lawn. But and just now we opened up a lot of sunlight in our forest, and it's just Pennsylvania sedge, and it kind of looks like this in the forest. It's just like, it looks so grassy and beautiful. There's something really nice about it.
I was just at a client's garden about 2 hours from here, and we just started talking as we're turning a bald hillside into a woodland. We talked about, all right, let's clear the woodland you have because it's overrun with invasives. And there's beautiful walnuts and chokeberries and hackberry trees in there.
Oh, Celtis,
and, Celtis, which I have a beautiful one. It was covered in poison ivy. I kind of revealed it, and there was this beautiful tree here.
The Celtis bark is really
awesome,
cool. It's like carbuncly and stuff,
and she has that, and then I walked in there, and there was tons of sedges like under all these invasive plants. And, you know, again, there is some ecological value to that kind of cover for birds, of course, but it's not high value. Right. So we're going to hopefully clear and then replant some native plants in there. But there are some herbaceous layers in these gardens, or even, you know, woody plants when you start opening up those woodlands and practice stewardship. Right.
Well, I mean, we just got out of like Bowman's Wildlife Preserve, right? And that shows it to you. You see some Viburnum acerifolium in there, and dappled in. So
it's such a great plant.
Are these some irises popping up here?
Yeah, that's crostata,
the crostata, drier ones.
You know, you can't get enough of that. Actually,
that's a nice ground cover. It does spread,
Doesn't do a great job of keeping the poison ivy out, but you know, most of these plants in the woodland don't.
Yeah.
And it's fine. You just manage.
And this is another sedge?
Yeah, this they thought was American as well. I think John Greenlee started using this. It's Carex divulsa. And it does have a really cool sculptural quality to it. The inflorescence will get even taller, and then it all starts laying down, and it looks like waves. So it's pretty cool, but it seeds out. So I don't use this in other gardens.
It's interesting though that you're like, I mean, maybe it's the day, but it feels drier here. And when people think, I think when people think of sedges, they think of like right along a waterway.
Yeah,
or
so,
a water
okay,
course.
so that's very astute. This is written up as like a wetland sedge.
Okay.
And it's so big, I was like, maybe, let's see if we can use it in dry shade and it'll just tame down a little bit. So I put it under this big pecan, which I love.
Yep.
And it did tame it down, but the inflorescence still gets big and it still wants to seed in.
I see.
So we have been removing it from the albicans.
Yeah.
And this is like the third year. I'm like, we're going to take this out and change the woodland more. I want more tons of spigelia in here.
Oh, spigelia, Indian pink.
So
yeah,
good,
it's
right?
so nice. Yeah. And
but-
there's some good cultivars that are a little shorter for those who don't want something
Right,
so
and bigger.
robust. Yeah,
Too.
yeah, and bigger.
Everything. I think Walters is working on a bunch.
Do you get pecans on this? Or
Yeah, they're little,
Okay.
and you know, there's grubs in it.
You must have another pecan that's a different, you know, in order to be able to get the pecans, because I know like if you have to get a one that's like
Crossing.
crosses. Yeah.
I haven't found one.
Oh, really?
But,
Maybe that's why you only get little pecans.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I didn't really even know what this was. This area was so overrun with invasives.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Like, and you open it up and you're like,
Well,
oh my
and
God,
then all of a
is
sudden
glorious
this tree becomes like a centerpiece,
Right.
you know? And this feels a little cooler in here. You got some
Yeah.
geraniums moving in and some heucheras. Is that straight heuchera americana
That's
over there?
Dale
Or Dale strain,
which is
okay.
American, and
Yeah.
then geranium phaeum, which I love. Also, we
Epimediums
buy
popping
those
up in here.
A lot
Well,
of different epimediums. I'm always trialing. Here's
and
the
then spigelia,
spigelias,
it's just about to bloom for you.
Paccaras.
Packer is a great, like, we planted that on our bank, and I love how it spreads.
Yeah. And I even brought Convallaria in, you know, again, kind of
Lily of the
old-fashioned.
valley
Yeah,
kind of
but
thing,
I mean,
yeah.
who doesn't want that flower? It's a little cut flower.
Some hellebores. There's a spigelia that
Yeah.
is starting to, looks like a little cigar, doesn't it? Just kind of popping up
Oh,
over
that's
there, a little
interesting,
red cigar.
I just think that's such a beautiful late spring.
And then this looks like
Bloom.
stackies, but with the pink bloom.
It
Pink,
is.
maybe the betony with the pinker bloom.
I think this one's Summer Crush right here.
Okay.
And with some Eupatorium purpureum, which is more of a woodland Eupatorium. Gelenias, which I'm crazy about.
And they have the pink version too, which I
Yeah,
just
Pink
found.
Profusion,
the
I
pink
think.
profusion,
Yeah.
yeah. These could get quite tall though.
They can.
I've seen in some gardens where they're, you know, up to my shoulder in
Yeah,
height.
I love this plant though.
It's very delicate and airy.
Right. And we even have some bladder campion, which is kind of invasive.
It
but-
moves everywhere. And
Yeah, it moves around, but I like
Yeah.
the white against
Yeah.
the white a little bit. They just kind of showed up spontaneously, and we edited it a little
Yeah.
bit. But in with all these sedges and the big stand of epimedium
Yeah,
here,
it
it
doesn't
doesn't
conflict.
go anywhere. No.
And it's also, I love the little bladders on it. So
So
Yeah.
cool, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just not the flower ever. Some Achillea, some.
Yep.
This is just Ortel's rose.
and then scabiosa right there. Those
No, that's
Is it?
they're gonna change it, I'm sure. But
Are
it's
you sure?
Nadia.
it's Natia, like
No-
in the Natia Macedonia
Yeah, this
group.
is Nadia arborescens.
Natia arborescens.
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 Yeah, really cool plant.
Whoa.
And I thought this can't be that long lived, and now we've had it maybe 5 years in the garden. So I buy that as much as I can get.
Take note of this. Do you buy it as a seed?
We usually buy like 72's little liner stock. You can see
Okay.
our nursery back here.
Okay.
So we propagate a lot just for my work, so I can have what I want to work with.
I definitely want to. I have the Natia Macedonia in, and
Yeah.
I love it, and the pollinators love it. But I don't have the lilac color. The other one I have is that kind of rich reddish purple.
Yeah, well,
know.
Macedonian clays don't seem to hold up for us as well.
Uh-huh.
We see they usually rot out in the winters.
Huh.
But this has been much more durable. I would say.
Okay. And then your magnolia right here.
Yeah,
Gosh,
that's brackens.
I know it looks like you've highly polished the leaves. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
right.
that's just how it is. Oh, this is the angustifolia.
That's Pallida.
Pallida.
Not that dissimilar from
Okay.
Angustifolia. Big kind of pubescent stems.
Yeah, and I know angustifolia has a thinner linear leaf compared
Right.
to the purpurea.
You can see the Hepfloriana, how like big the inflorescence gets, which
this
I really
one.
love. Yeah.
Yep.
Mixed in with little blue stem.
Is this just spicata coming up? Liatris spicata?
That's Liatris pycnostaca.
Oh, Pycnospis. It's the tall.
Taller,
Yeah.
which I love.
I love all Liatris.
I do too.
I love the little microcephalas.
Yes.
And I planted quite a lot of our, I guess it's technically threatened or endangered in New York State, but the Scariosa variation newlandii,
Oh, I don't
that
know.
for us is the latest blooming, and the amount of monarchs in migration that are attracted to that on their way back. It's really lovely. Spicata is the first to bloom for me. Pycnostacia is like in the middle, and then the Scariosa is the latest. And then Nigella, which is
Yeah.
such another beautiful cottage
Very nice,
plant.
right?
But look at the dark purple one. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's so nice, right?
This is
Look at
kind of
that.
the more
There's-
traditional
Yeah,
color.
look at the variation.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
This is a really cool underused grass. That's Calamagrostis chejudo.
I've never heard of that one.
Stonehouse released it out of Michigan. And I don't know if they went over to China and got it or where it came from, but I've seen it one place listed as a Stipa. So I don't know if they actually know what it is yet.
And when does it get a inflorescence?
Well, see, that's the other thing. It gets a later inflorescence, which most calamagrostis are cool season. This is blooming as a warm season grass.
Interesting.
So I'm wondering if they really have truly figured out what that is.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting grass. And this is one of my favorite Amsonias, Cabernet Montana. It's more compact, you see.
Yes.
It's a nice blue. It's not too washed out, and a really nice like scarlet autumn color.
Ooh, interesting. Scarlet.
Yeah, and I just like the scale of it for gardens. You know, it's not too big. Like Hubrechtii is down here.
Yeah, it's
and
a
that's
monster.
like a monster, right?
And then this is with the moonshine Achilles, or
this is Coronation Gold.
Coronation Gold.
Which is pretty jarring to me. I don't love it, but I tried it years ago. Again, I almost never put a lot of yellow in my gardens.
Really, is that true?
Yeah,
it's too bright and chewy for you.
Yeah, it's too chewy. Scorpios, you know, we need dark. And, you know.
I need it to look like dark and mysterious.
Exactly.
Your gardens are a reflection of you, I guess.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm
Someone said that. Dark. My dark.
Very
gardens.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Right. I'll do some opium later. Stare at my garden for hours.
And these are lovely butterfly magnets.
Yeah.
This seems to be blooming super early.
Early, yeah, it does.
Wow.
And yet, so many things are taking their time waking up.
Yeah. I love the poppies fluttering.
Yeah, that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's odd because I originally sowed them in the calamagrostis, thinking, oh, could I bury them in there so when the foliage breaks down like late summer, it doesn't look so bad. But they didn't want to stay there. They've actually moved over here, which is interesting.
Like all of them moved over here. It looks like they convened with one another and they said, you know what?
This is
There's one over there, that poor one over there that's like left, you know?
I mean, the whole gravel walkways covered them, but we weeded those out.
It looks like it's the wrong color, but it looks like a Marilyn Monroe moment where like her dress is blowing up in the vents.
Right.
She's like, ooh.
Oh, Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn. And then here's some of the Brixias.
More Brezza.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a big butternut here.
Those have been under siege, right?
Yeah, so and this originally it was over there and it was shutting down. So I grew a bunch from seed here, and the kind of heir apparent was, you know, being the most vigorous. So I cut down the other ones, kind of speed up that process. And after about 10 years, this started shutting down.
So the butternut,
so we just cut it down. These are brand new Australia we planted in here.
The butternuts are in the Juglonaceae family, and for whatever reason, they have a disease. I don't know if it's fungal or if it's
viral.
Viral, okay.
Yeah.
It hasn't affected black walnut though, which is in the same genus, but it just is really just the butternuts. Yeah. Unfortunately. And along with many of our other trees.
Right. I do love the black walnuts too.
Zizia aurea. Now ours are in full bloom right now, which is interesting because yours are just taking off.
And again, it's a yellow, but it's kind of appropriate for this drainage swale with the Carex muskingamensis, which I love.
I like the form of the muskingamensis. It's more geometric, you know.
Right.
When you photograph it from, you know, this way.
Yeah, you got these, it's like splayed crossing foliage. I've always loved that plant. And the Philopendula.
Rubra.
Yeah, this rubra. Really nice. This is endangered in Pennsylvania.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, I've never found it anywhere. But.
So what do you think is your planting style, or does it depend on your client really and what your client is looking for? You might not have one, but
we tend to take clients on that understand the big picture and the vision of the space. So we'll design the hardscape out, we'll design the planting space, but we don't really talk to them about planting composition. It's rare that I'll take a client on who wants to get down into the minutia of like having that conversation. To me, it's like you're hiring someone to curate an art piece, and I don't know that can be done by committee, you know. And I tell people that right up front, like if you want an architect or an engineer, then you should hire them and be happy. And I'm going to be not happy if
because you're the artist. You're the artist.
Yeah, I want to work in the field. So I still, no matter where the gardens are, and we've worked down south, Memphis, Asheville, up north, I lay out like I'd say 95% of the plants actually get put down by me. So whether I'm on a machine setting trees or laying out the plants,
good for you.
That's what I do in real time. So it's very limiting. Our firm's very small because of it, but I have a great support team, which is great. People who are really good with understanding plants. I like to work in real time, and we'll work. You know, we'll build spreadsheets with like build plant communities out for sections of the garden, but that's almost after the fact where the budgets get signed off on. So is there a style? Naturalistic, I guess. You know, I grew up playing in creeks and meadows. This is like the romantic memory for me, right? I love this. I love. Even a couple years ago, we flew to Rome, and I came here in the morning. I just wanted to sit here and like hang out here. This is like it for me, you know, and like being out when everyone leaves and hearing the birds. And, like seeing everything that happens here is so magical.
Right.
So I don't know. I just want all those romantic interactions and the immersive quality of these gardens. That's what really does it for me.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for this tour. This was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love seeing the new plants as well. It always gets me excited. And I definitely will be having some new plants in the next week or two when we get back.
more plant shopping.
Absolutely.
Good morning, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, opposers and enthusiasts. It's Saturday, July 4th. Oh my God, an American holiday. Saturday, July 4th, 6:44 a.m. here in the Salt Lake Valley. The sun is just barely peeking over the mountaintops. Oh, I thought we'd spend some time with this little book, The Object of Creation, recommended last night by Brother Rick. Oh my God. Be sure and give me a thumbs up. If you just got here, leave comments at the end of the show and timestamp anything that you think, any part of the conversation as we go along that you think is cool so people can find that segment easily. This little essay is called The Object of Creation. There's not a signature on it, so we don't know who wrote it. So hang on a second while I bump up the size. Ooh, blue ink. Get rid of my face. Bump up the size again. Let's see if that is acceptable. Nope, too big. Okay, here we go. The object of creation. For what purpose is man in the world? This question is asked by all thinking men, but who is able to answer it? The solution is found in the scriptures alone. And even there, it is not on the surface. Wow. The solution is found in the scriptures alone, and even there, it is not on the surface. It is one of the deep things of God, hidden from the carnal mind, from the religious, as well as the intellectual searcher. It can be revealed only by God's Spirit. To say that we can know why man was created may seem stupendous, a stupendous claim to many, but it is really no great accomplishment for those who are guided only by his word and not by what they think or by philosophical notions emanating from the human brain. We learn of a first act of creation by God through the text, which tells us of his having originated the Christ, his son, in Colossians 1:15. Ah, cool. Colossians 1:15. I'm excited. In Colossians 1:15, the latter, that would be Christ. No, his son, not Christ, but his son, the latter. The latter is called the image of the invisible God, as well as the firstborn of every creation. The word image means a visible representation and must speak to us of God's longing to be revealed. His object in originating Christ was that this one should be his revelation. Wow. The word firstborn in the scriptures is a figure of speech denoting the highest rank, the highest in rank and station, the one who is to take his Father's place. Christ appears as the origin or beginning of God's creation. See Revelation 3:14. He was there before anything existed. No other being, no solar system, no speck of matter was made before him. There has been much theological discussion about whether the pre-human Christ was born from or created by the Father. All this is vain, for in his case, there is no vital difference between the two thoughts. In Hebrews 2:11, we read that he is not ashamed to call the many sons. In Hebrews 2:11, we read that he is not ashamed to call the many sons whom he glorifies his brethren, because he and they are out of one. All that is the entire universe is out of God. Romans 11:36 and 1 Corinthians 8:6. And Timoteo, knock it off. One more snarky comment like that, expressed out of your own self-importance and self-glorification, and I'll kick your current sock account out. Got it? Jackass. In Hebrews 2:11, we read that he is not ashamed to call the many sons whom he glorifies his brethren, because he and they are out of one. All are out of one. All that is the entire universe is out of God. Romans 11:36 and 1 Corinthians 8:6. But it is through Christ, as Paul discloses to us in such majestic words, quote, "For in him is all created, that in the heavens and that on the earth. All is created in him and for him, and he is before all, and all has its cohesion in him." Colossians 1:16 and 17. For us there is one God, quote, "For us there is one God, the Father, out of whom all is, and we for him, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom all is, and we through him." 1 Corinthians 8:6. Nothing was to lack divine revelation. Nothing was to lack divine revelation. And as no creature can perceive the invisible one, his visible image had to be there before aught else in order to be this revelation to all. After bringing forth his son, God needed intelligent beings to be the recipients of his revelation. We have no clue whatever as to when the creation of heavenly bodies or stars began, and when and with what kind of creatures they were populated. The only thing we do know is that there was a wonderful world before our earth came into being. In Job 38, verses 4 and 7, God himself asks, where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Wow. Now, let me read that again. In Job 38, 4 and 7, God himself asks, where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? This one short passage teaches us wonderful and most important facts. That there were beings allowed to look on when God called some new, marvelous masterpiece into existence, able to appreciate the power and wisdom exhibited in it and to rejoice in it. It seems as if this grand and glorious universe was then not marred by any discordance, any trace of rebellion, enmity, and sin. Okay, Tim Theo, little sweet jackass, get the hell off my channel. Now, some might think that this must have been the perfect world, enjoying a perfect revelation. Now, some might think that this must have been a perfect world, enjoying a perfect revelation, and therefore capable of bringing the most perfect satisfaction to both God and the beings he made. But this was not so. All that his creatures were, did I get that right? All that his creatures were then able to see was that a creator of unlimited power and ability. Donna, you're welcome. Yeah, I gave him a warning. Oh, did I say Donna? I meant Deborah. Deborah, you're welcome. I gave him a warning to knock it off with his self-righteous snark. But he can't even see that he's in it, that he's a self-righteous snark. All he can see is that he's right and the whole dang batch of us are wrong. And, he's just immature, got that tribal mentality going. Us versus them. Yay, my team won. It's just not any fun to talk to him, that's for sure. Okay, back to work here. His innermost heart remained hidden from them. All right, let me back up because I want to get the whole thought here. I don't want to miss anything. Now, some might think this must have been a perfect world before the foundations of the earth were laid, right? Now, some might think this must have been a perfect world, enjoying a perfect revelation, and therefore capable of bringing the most perfect satisfaction to both God and the beings he made. But this was not so. All that his creatures were then able to see was a creator of unlimited power and ability. His innermost heart remained hidden from them. They could know him as the embodiment of might, but not as the embodiment of love. They could not know good as long as there was nothing to contrast it with. Let me highlight that. Seems appropriate. How about yellow? Okay, good job. They did not know evil. They did not know what it was to overcome evil and to develop good to its sublimest height in the struggle with sin. The deity they could grasp resembled the one whom countless unbelievers or heathen admire in nature. Let me read that again. They could not know good as long as there was nothing to contrast it with. Okay, I got that. They did not know evil. Okay, I got that. They did not know evil. They did not know what it was to overcome evil and to develop good to its sublimest height in the struggle with sin. The deity they could grasp resembled the one whom countless unbelievers or heathen admire in nature, the Christ. His revelation could be worshipped only as a disclosure of awe-inspiring power and splendor far above the weakness of the creatures, forcing all who beheld him to fall at his feet as dead. God knew that another revelation was needed for his own sake, for the sake of his Christ, and for the sake of his creatures. It was the revelation of evil. Oh, really? The revelation of evil. The old theological quarrel, whether Satan fell from a state of perfection or whether he was created as the personification of wickedness, is worthless. Oh, let's highlight is worthless because it's cool. And we're into cool at the moment, right? For even had he once been good, God made him so that he could become the very embodiment of everything that is evil. And that is what he was made for. He was a necessity for God's sublimest revelation. We have already referred to the earth's foundation as we have already referred to the earth's foundation as having taken place later than the creation of the celestial host. I like that sentence, so I'm going to read it again. Not that I didn't understand it, but I just kind of like it. We have already referred to the earth's foundation as having taken place later than the creation of the celestial host. And the fact that Satan exercises power over this earth makes it most probable that it was made in order to become the scene on which the great struggle between good and evil was to be enacted. It is beyond question that Satan rules today. He himself tells Christ that all the kingdoms of the world were given to him and that he gives them to whomsoever he wills. Paul calls him the God of the Sion, 2 Corinthians 4:4. And John tells us that the whole world lies in the wicked one, 1 John 5:19. We also know that there was a disruption of the world, which may be attributed to the misrule and failure of the one who dominated it. This disruption is clearly implied in the forefront of Revelation. This disruption is clearly implied at the forefront of Revelation. It harmonizes with the great truth that God did not create the earth without form and void, quote unquote, without form and void, or rather a chaos and vacant, but that it became thus. The earth became formless and void. and surely for a good reason. Thus far, we have an almighty God who is spirit and therefore invisible to those he has made. We have his visible image, the Christ, and we have a universe of suns and stars with intelligent beings on them, created for the purpose of receiving the revelation of God, in order that he should be satisfied through the response to it in their hearts. And to activate this revelation, we have Satan, a being of incredible cunning, ability, and power, to whom God gives a stage. Like I sometimes give a stage to Jill, or Timtheo, or whatever, to whom God gives a stage, a platform on which he demonstrates what he can do in opposition to God and what his capabilities will achieve apart from God. This stage is the earth, on which he is allowed to display his true character, a fine object lesson for the hosts of heaven. But would this alone accomplish God's purpose in creating evil? Where would the revelation of God's heart come in? Where the revelation of the unutterable superiority of Christ over every other being, not as the most high, but as the most worthy of all. Wow, that's a complicated thought. Let me read it again because I'm not sure I got it totally. But would this alone accomplish God's purpose in creating evil? Where would the revelation of God's heart come in? Where the revelation of the unutterable superiority of Christ over every other being, not as the most high, but as the most worthy of all. This guy was not speaking in LOLs and emojis, that's for sure. When the revelation of the value of absolute dependence on God, in contrast to Satan's career of self-will and self-elevation, man, doesn't that speak of Timtheo that we just got rid of? Huh? All right. Where the revelation? Do you hear the old English from this? This must have been written in the 1950s. Where the revelation of the unutterable superiority of Christ over every other being, not as the most high, but as the most worthy of all. Where the revelation of the value of absolute dependence on God, in contrast to Satan's career of self-will and self-elevation. Gosh, I got to highlight that one. Hang on. Where does it start? Okay, I think it starts here. Yeah. Where the revelation of the value of absolute dependence on God. Okay, so that's a thought, right? Thoughts are things. So there is an, shall we say, a level where we can come to realize an absolute dependence on God, as opposed to Satan's platform of self-will and self-revelation, and I'll throw in the word self-importance. Self-elevation. I said revelation. Yeah, self-elevation. Okay. How would it benefit the witnesses of his misrule if he were permitted to go on eternally as he started to do without his sin ever coming to a consummation, bringing about his utter defeat and the triumph of good. Man, that's cool. If you remember, I've asked some of these Christian boys, is sin eternal? And they essentially say yes. They don't know about the power of God to bring sin and evil to a conclusion, a good and happy conclusion. How would it benefit the witnesses of this misrule, of his misrule? How would it benefit the witnesses of his misrule if Satan were permitted to go on eternally as he started to do without his sin ever coming to a consummation, bringing about his utter defeat and the triumph of good? The heavenly onlookers might even become accustomed to behold him running about on the earth, resisting God, yet never having an opportunity of really challenging God, opposing Christ, yet never able to harm Christ, against all who were untouched by sin, but never in a position to tempt and mislead them. Oh my God, I admit this run-on sentence is a tough one. Let's finish out the paragraph and see if we need to reread it. But never in a position to tempt or mislead them, it would soon turn out to be sort of a platonic enmity of evil against good, never coming to a real decision. It would never become an adequate revelation of the depths of grace hidden in God and of the lengths to which his love would go, nor of the depths of the iniquity of Satan and evil's awful culmination. Something more was needed. I'll say something more was needed, like make your sentences shorter, dude. All right, we'll read it again. Hang on. Let me rearrange the screen here for my production values. Okay, we're going to try this paragraph again because it's a tough one. Give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this reading. And by the way, thanks for showing up. All right. But would this alone accomplish God's purpose in creating evil? At least he starts out this paragraph by admitting that there's only one God and God created evil, right? Would this alone accomplish God's purpose in creating evil? Where would the revelation of God's heart come in? Where the revelation of the unutterable superiority of Christ over every other being, not as the most high, but as the most worthy of all. Where the revelation of the value of absolute dependence on God, in contrast to Satan's career of self-will and self-elevation. How would it benefit the witnesses of his misrule if the old boy were permitted to go on eternally as he started to do without his sin ever coming to a consummation, bringing about his utter defeat and the triumph of good? The heavenly onlookers might even become accustomed to behold him running about the earth, resisting God, yet never having an opportunity to really challenge God, opposing Christ, yet never able to harm Christ, against all those who were untouched by sin, but never in a position to tempt and mislead them. It would soon turn out to be a sort of platonic enmity of evil against good, never coming to a real decision. It would never become an adequate revelation of the depths of grace hidden in God and of the lengths to which his love would go, nor of the depths of the iniquity of Satan and evil's awful culmination. Something more was needed. Okay. So, God went about to restore the ruined earth for the scene of his crowning revelation. Well, that makes sense. That sheds light on the prior paragraph as well. If you know what I mean, Vern. This calls for circumstances in which Satan would have an opportunity to attack God and demonstrate all his antagonism toward God and go to the incredible lengths of actually murdering God's representative. Then, when he believes that he has triumphed over God, he must discover that he has brought about his own complete and final defeat, as well as the glorious victory of the one he wished to destroy. Get it? We get this idea from Paul when Paul in Corinthians says, if these bad boys had known what they were doing, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Satan could never touch Satan could never touch the Christ existing in the form of God. In order that he may be challenged by Satan to mortal combat, the Son of God had to empty himself of his divine majesty and take on a body adapted to this struggle, a body that could be hurt, broken, and sacrificed. As the first specimen of such a being, God created the first man, Adam. It's hard to express in human words all that it must have meant to God when he formed this wonderful creature in his own image. Man had to be godlike to such an extent that the Christ could become a man without sacrificing his real status. Even in the glory, Christ is and always will be a man. This one fact places man far above all the principalities and powers of the heavenly realms. Christ never took on their likeness, and God did not choose them to be the instruments of his crowning revelation to the rest of creation. Once we grasp that we were made in order that Christ could, in our form and likeness, reveal to the universe what God is, what he himself is, and what Satan is, we can only bow our heads in adoration. Such a vision, once it dawns upon us, is overwhelming. I like that sentence, so give me a moment to highlight it. Such a vision, once it dawns upon us, is overwhelming. It is an answer to the question of our existence that surpasses in its marvelous grandeur all human explanations, as God's wisdom surpasses ours. But there it is, hidden in the scriptures. Paul says in Colossians that Christ on the cross, stripping off the sovereignties and authorities of wickedness, for Satan has many underlings, boldly made a show of them, triumphing over them. This certainly was no show for people looking on, They saw nothing but utter weakness, defeat, and death on Golgotha. Uh-oh. It was a show for the benefit of all the heavenly host. That was sweet. The heavenly host, shall we say, were mildly impressed with Christ's death, entombment, and resurrection. Actually, more than mildly, their minds were blown at the whole picture. And Peter speaks in 1 Peter 1:12 concerning Christ's suffering and the glories to follow, into which the messengers are yearning to peer. And that is why Christ always calls himself the Son of Mankind, and again says that his task on earth is to reveal the Father. But this had to be in the form of man. Evidently, it was a revelation superior to the one which he had become to the universe in his pre-human glory. In Philippians, we find much light on this subject. Christ emptied himself of his divine form in order to become a man, and as a man became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. This is back to Philippians 2:5-11, my favorite passage, it would seem. Golgotha was the reason for his becoming a man, for it was God's central revelation to the entire creation. Really? Cool. Golgotha was the reason for his becoming a man, for it was God's central revelation to the creation. What the latter beheld on the cross can be surpassed by any other unveiling or exhibition of power, splendor, and majesty. Okay, that's a good sentence and a little bit of a old style sentence. Let me read it again. I'll read the whole paragraph. In Philippians, we find much light on this subject. Christ emptied himself of his divine form in order to become a man, and as a man became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Okay, we're up to speed. Golgotha, that's where Christ died. He died on the hill called Golgotha. Golgotha was the reason for his becoming a man, for it was God's central revelation to the entire creation. What the latter beheld, and that means what the entire creation beheld. See, they were more clever in their writings 70 years ago. What the entire creation beheld on the cross cannot be surpassed by any other unveiling or exhibition of power, splendor, and majesty. God did not reveal all this from the start to Satan and to humanity so that it was clear and evident to all. This would have brought to naught his intention. Never would Satan have murdered the Christ, had he known that this would end in his own destruction, his exposure in unparalleled shame and disgrace before the entire creation. Satan is well able to read the Bible. Probably he knows it better than we do. He can also read the hearts of men and suggest ideas to them, but he cannot find out what is hidden. He cannot find out what is hidden in God. Therefore, God told man at his creation nothing more. Therefore, God told man at his creation nothing more than what he was to rule the earth. Nothing more than that he was to rule the earth. It was necessary that Adam should remain ignorant concerning God's further plans. I get that. Not influenced by any premature knowledge, he was to fulfill God's intention. And this is a very difficult one. And this was a very different one. God's intention was a very different one than we would have imagined. Evidently, Satan craved to bring man under his power as soon as the latter appeared on the scene. The latter being a reference to man at the moment, right? In this way, Satan wanted to wreck God's purpose with mankind. And yet, he has only fulfilled it. God's wisdom, in truth, surpasses all our comprehension. Right on. Every move which his enemy makes against him, he turns into victory for himself, defeat for Satan. Every move which his enemy makes against him, he turns into victory for himself, into defeat for Satan. Had man remained innocent, there would never have been a cross on this earth. It would not come to a Golgotha. Christ would not have become a man. The history of mankind would not have been what God needed for his purpose. Living in a magnificent garden with no other task than to pick luscious fruit associated with harmless animals. Let me read that right. Living in a magnificent garden with no other task than to pick luscious fruit and associate with harmless animals, no member of such a humanity could ever become a theater to the world and to messengers, as is revealed in 1 Corinthians 4:9, as God's plan demanded. When Satan, without effort, misled the first human beings, he surely believed that he had frustrated God's purpose. Yeah, that's true, huh? It's a believable analysis of the story. I'll read it again. When Satan, without effort, misled the first human beings, he surely believed that he had frustrated God's purpose. Now these creatures would no longer be dangerous to him. Now he would keep them in bondage, use them as his instrument to fight the Creator. On the very same day, he learned from God himself how terribly mistaken he had been. Now he has himself brought about the conditions necessary for the advent of the true Son of mankind in his domain. The very one whom he deceived first, the woman, would bring forth his destroyer. From now on, there would be a seed which, standing on God's side, would be the enemy of Satan. His final dethronement by the seed was now certain. The entire story of mankind that follows is a work of God step by step to reach the cross of Golgotha. The nation that was to bring forth the one who hurts the serpent, and at the same time, under Satan's leadership, become the instrument of his crucifixion, furnishes us example after example how God prepares it for its destiny how Satan, in his turn, tries everything to frustrate God's plan, and how he only gives God another opportunity to turn all his evil doings against himself. Sweet. If Satan had perhaps thought that man, after becoming a sinner, would now never be able to conquer him, he overlooked the marvelous depths of God's plan of redemption. Dude, that sounds worth reading again. If Satan had perhaps thought that man, after having become a sinner, would now never be able to conquer him, he overlooked the marvelous depths of God's plan of redemption. Adam, in spite of his innocence, was soulish. Adam, in spite of his innocence, was soulish. He was flesh. This was never a match for Satan. God's intention was not to overcome Satan by a sinless first Adam who knew neither good nor evil. To conquer a being like Satan, divine strength was needed. Evidently, God had invested his enemy with so much power that the struggle between him and the Christ had to be, in truth, a deadly combat. Yikes. Else, it would only have been a sham. It would never have meant for God. It would never have meant for God, nor for Christ himself, nor for Satan, nor for creation what God intended. But because Adam did not remain innocent, humanity could receive in Christ a new head, a second Adam. After the disqualification of the first Adam, another one, immeasurably better, took his place. Never would humanity have welcomed the second Adam without the bankruptcy of the first one. God let Satan win a seeming triumph with his seduction of man in order to turn evil into good by a far higher plan of love, by a far higher plan of love. Through Christ, no, not through, though Christ was to hurt the head of the serpent on Golgotha all alone, yet he was also to make a multitude called out of the mass of mankind conquerors, in order that they might in due time reign with him. What no son of the first Adam was able to become through the life he inherits, he now could be through life communicated by him to him by the second Adam, by the second man. Man, this guy's a little bit tough, but worth it, okay? Worth it. Plow on. But how could man receive this divine life without first recognizing his own corruption? When God permitted Satan to poison man with sin, he made room for his life in all who were willing to consign death, who were willing to consign to death the life of the first Adam. In this way, Satan will be conquered by men after all, but by men who, by the Spirit of God, have received a power which the first Adam in his innocence never could know. If anyone thinks that redemption is nothing but restoration of innocence as was found in paradise, then he is sadly mistaken. God let Satan rob man of this in order to give him his own righteousness instead. And if man was not to exalt himself, in consequence of this fact, he had first thoroughly to learn the misery of his own sinful state. Okay, I'm going to try this paragraph again. This, boys and girls, is not only proper theology, but really good grammar. Maybe will be improved by our acquaintance with good grammar from 70 or 100 years ago, whenever this was written. Okay, here we go again. Though Christ was to hurt the head of the serpent on Golgotha all alone, yet he was also to make a multitude called out of the mass of mankind conquerors, in order that they might in due time reign together with him. What no son of the first Adam was able to become through the life he inherits, he now could be through the life communicated to him by the second. But how could man receive this divine life without first recognizing his own corruption? When God permits Satan to poison man with sin, he made room for his life in all who are willing to consign to death the life of the first Adam. In this way, Satan will be conquered by men after all, but by men who, by the Spirit of God, had received a power which the first Adam in his innocence never could know. If anyone thinks that redemption is nothing but a restoration of innocence, as was found in the Garden of Eden paradise, then he is sadly mistaken. God let Satan rob man of this in order to give him his own righteousness instead. And if man was not to exalt himself in consequence of this fact, he had first thoroughly to learn the misery of his own sinful state. I think I did a better job on the second reading of it, right? Right, baby. Forward march. With all this cunning and slyness, with all his desperate efforts, Satan completely blinded. Satan, well, okay, this is a long sentence with a lot of commas. Hang on. With all his cunning and slyness, with all his desperate efforts, Satan completely blinded only brings about his own destruction. Gave him enough rope and he'll hang himself. He himself makes provisions for the cross on which he is defeated. He does not foresee what it will mean for himself. The old boy works into the hands of God. That is the drama of the universe, the spectacle which holds all the heavens spellbound. Because of this, mankind came into existence to play the different parts which this stupendous event demanded. Satan surely did not realize what he would accomplish for the entire creation on Golgotha. One is, in fact, tempted to speak of divine irony when one grasps how God lets his enemy step by step exert himself to bring about the cross, always hoping to harm his creator, and yet only serving the unfathomable depths of God's wisdom. Golgotha had to be for God's sake. Oh, I love that. Such a short sentence. See, this guy can write short sentences. Golgotha had to be for God's sake. If God longed for the responsive love of creatures capable of apprehending what he is, let me try it again. If God longed for the responsive love of his creatures capable of apprehending what he is, nothing else could reveal to them everything that he is, everything that is in his heart, as the cross would. I'll try it one more time. If God longed for the responsive love of his creatures capable of appreciating what he is, nothing else could reveal to them everything that is in his heart as the cross could. There he gave his beloved son for his enemies. Man, now we're talking. There he gave his beloved son. There he gave his beloved son. No, beloved one. There he gave his beloved one for his enemies. There he provided for the reconciliation of every being which had been estranged from him. There he made manifest his perfect justice when he justifies all who believe in him. There he made manifest his perfect justice when he justifies all who believe in him. There he showed a wonderful universe, there he showed to a wondering universe the unfathomable depths of wisdom, which finds a way to finally do away with all sin without leaving the least flaw on his righteousness. We're on page 10, Deborah. Golgotha had to be for Christ's sake. Golgotha had to be for Christ's sake. Didn't he say earlier that Golgotha had to be for God's sake? So God and Christ, right? A complex little plan going on here. Golgotha had to be for Christ's sake. He was not only to be adored and honored as the mighty representative of the all-powerful God, but to be worshiped as the one whose obedience, self-denial, and love surpassed everything that had been realized before. Christ was to be given the highest place above every other creature, not only because of his rank, but also because of his deeds. How could creation bring him such heartfelt adoration if he had only been the Most High? Because God made him thus. The cross proves him to be worthy of all honor because of what he did there, quite apart from his divine station. If God wanted to exalt him, super exalt is the literal Greek in Philippians. If God wanted to super exalt him, he could do it in no better way than by first abasing him into the depths of suffering and shame. Yikes. Because he endured that, God gives him a name that is above every name. Because he stooped so low every creature will gladly and joyously acclaim him as the one fit to be the Most High. Philippians 2, 5-11, right? Golgotha brought Christ a wealth of honor to be had in no other way. Therefore, it had to be for his sake. Man, I love that whole paragraph there. Let's see if it's on one page. Yes, it is. Therefore, it'll make it easy to highlight the whole paragraph. Got it? If there's water on the carpet, it's there for a reason. Okay. And Golgotha had also to be for Satan's sake. Wow, we're covering the whole gamut here. Golgotha had to be for God's sake. Golgotha had to be for Christ's sake. And now Golgotha had to be for Satan's sake. There it was that God gave him the crowning opportunity to display the depths to which wickedness can go. Nothing like what he did there could ever have been considered possible to any intelligent being among the heavenly hosts. Boy, that's complicated. Let's go do it again. Golgotha had also to be for Satan's sake. There it was that God gave him the crowning opportunity. There it was that God gave him the crowning opportunity to display the depths to which wickedness can go. Nothing like what he did there could ever have been considered possible by any intelligent being among the heavenly hosts. Wow. That means the heavenly hosts were watching Satan to see what the hell he would do. No wonder Paul says in 1 Corinthians 4 that this whole thing is theater. Because, I've had these arguments with Christian boys like JG who can't imagine that this is theater that we're going through right now, right? They're insulted by such things. They think it's all real. And 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 9 says it's theater. And so they think it's all real and that you have Ace, you still have an opportunity to repent, hurry up. But man, from this little sentence here on page, what page are we on? We're on page 10. This sentence is suggesting, and I'm sure he got the idea from Ephesians. This sentence, and maybe Corinthians too. Oh yeah, that would be Corinthians 4 and Ephesians, that we are on display. And Satan is on display. That the whole dang universe, it seems, is checking out what's going on the earth, right? And I can imagine from this sentence and from Paul's writings that that the heavenly beings were shocked at Satan's behavior. All right, let's try it again. And Golgotha also had to be for Satan's sake. There it was that God gave him the crowning opportunity to display the depths to which wickedness can go. Nothing like it. Nothing like what he did there could ever have been considered possible by any intelligent being among the heavenly host. Now, they may see what evil can come to. Now they may see what evil can come to. Now they may grasp its awful potentialities. But Satan, at the peak of his triumph, in reality, was defeated, utterly brought to naught, displayed in all his iniquity before the horrified witnesses of his deed, and made a public show by conquering Christ. Though God still lets him exercise dominion on the earth, he is constantly overreaching himself, constantly showing his incapacity to accomplish anything perfect. God looks on calmly at his efforts to make some show of his capabilities to lift humanity to all sorts of heights. God turns everything he does into a great failure. God turns everything Satan does into a great failure while he holds ready his Christ and will dethrone Satan finally when his time is over. And then the terrible state to which he has brought the earth will be the foil for Christ's wonderful reign, which is to undo all he has done. Uh, Hitherto, we have contemplated only the grand and overwhelmingly glorious aspects of what it means to be a man. There's still another darker side. Man was not only to be the creature in whose form Christ could become, God's crowning revelation. He was also to be the medium through which Satan reveals himself in his turn. Well, that's a clever thought. Let me read it again. Hitherto, we have contemplated only the grand and overwhelmingly glorious aspect of what it means to be a man. There is still another darker side. Man was not only to be the creation in whose form Christ could become God's crowning revelation, he was also to be the medium through which Satan reveals himself in his turn. The first man was trapped by Satan and brought under his sway. From then on, all men were used by him more or less to carry out his plans. Satan needs men to accomplish his plan, and God lets him have them. That was also according to God's plan. The great tragedy featuring the conflict between good and evil, this spectacle for all the universe, is acted out by man. The tools of Satan on one hand, instruments of God on the other. A man can be either of the two. It is necessary that we also give due emphasis to the somber side of man's role, a side which should well keep us from self-exaltation. Dude, I want to hear about that. Because, we need a little bit less self-exaltation in this world, right? We surely have nothing to boast of. That's for sure. We surely have nothing to boast of. And God was wise to let it be that way. If ever a human being could elevate himself because he wears the image of God, because he exists in the likeness of Christ, let him realize that not a single one of his race remained as God created him, that man fell short at the very start of his career. But that does not alter the fact that man carries out God's intention. Quite the contrary. Man had to become a sinner for the same astounding reasons that there had to be a cross. Cool. Let's get the memo to our Christian friends. And that's only half the sentence. No, it's a complete sentence, right? Man had to become a sinner for the same astounding reasons that there had to be a cross. For God's sake, for Christ's sake, for Satan's sake, and for his own sake. Wow. This guy is a good writer. The whole package so far is very unified. For God's sake, for Christ's sake, for Satan's sake, and for his own sake, that justifies God in making man so responsive to sin that he gave way to it in face of the first temptation God put in his path. If God had not wanted it to be thus, he could have kept man from ever knowing evil. But a neutral humanity was not what God needed. Got it? A neutral humanity was not what God needed, for man has a special task in the universe, or else his creation, different from the heavenly host, would have been, to say the least, superfluous. God needed sinners and enemies to reveal to the onlooking witnesses his power to redeem and reconcile, to take what Satan had spoiled and reshape it to something much higher, and to make it more innocent, and to make mere innocence into conquerors. Wow. And to make mere innocent people into conquerors, former slaves of his adversary into victorious overcomers with the great enemy under their feet. He needed sinners in order to awaken them in a response of gratitude and love by saving them from their cruel bondmaster, such as would satisfy his heart. Their never-ending praise for his deliverance is something he would by no means want to go without. Surely, man had to become a sinner for God's sake. How beautiful is that thought? And he had to become a sinner for Christ's sake. What? Man had to become a sinner for Christ's sake. Man had to become a sinner for God's sake, and man had to become a sinner for Christ's sake. Christ yearns to have others partake of the glory which he himself is enjoying. He longs for a reward for his sorrows, namely, to be given those which he delivers through his own blood. He needs a complement, a bride, as well as a body, consisting of those whom he has made worthy to stand, of those he has made worthy to share his future reign on this earth as well as in the heavenly realms. And such must be prepared for these tasks in the same way he was prepared for his place. Man, I got to get this right. I'm screwing up here. So he had to become a sinner for Christ's sake. Christ yearns to have others partake for the glory. Christ yearns to have others partake of the glory which he himself is enjoying. He longs for a reward for his sorrows, namely, to be given those which he delivers through his own blood. He needs a complement and a bride, as well as a body consisting of those whom he has made worthy to share his future reign on this earth, as well as in the heavenly realms. And such must be prepared for these tasks in the same way that he was prepared for his place above all. This preparation is by the cross. Christ died on it a literal death. His redeemed ones identified themselves with him in his death, accepting God's curse on the old humanity as expressed through the cross by dying to everything involved in the term flesh and living by the indwelling power of the risen, victorious Christ. They become what he seeks in order to satisfy his heart. And that which counts for God, when it comes to the gratitude and fervent love from those who are delivered from Satan's thraldom, counts for Christ in the very same way. He would want to be, would he want to be without the praises and thanks of creatures for whom he himself redeemed at such tremendous cost? Any such adoration would be impossible in sinless man. Wow. Any such adoration would be impossible in sinless man. Only a sinner needs crucifixion. Dude, in order to go literally to the cross, Christ took on himself the sin of the world. In order to go figuratively to the cross, a man must realize his own shameful deserts. And man had to become a sinner for Satan's sake. Man, what a great writer this guy is. God is also just to his great adversary. Really? Let's share that with the Christian boys and watch them freak out. God is just to his great adversary. He furnishes him with material to give him an opportunity to show what he can do. God lets him have millions of men, great empires, and vast resources. Now let him prove that he can build a happy, peaceful world without God, that he can satisfy the cravings of men's souls, that he can fill the void within them by what he has to offer, with emphasis on the word offer, right? Power and glory, lust and pleasure, education and civilization, anything and everything that can be had, except the one who alone can fill the human heart. But man would have never been Satan's dupe and tool had he not been estranged from God. That was the necessary preparation for Satan's great demonstration, which he stages in his realm, the earth. Where has his rulership led to? Dude, let's open up the newspapers and find out. What page are we on? Page 13. This is only 16 pages long. Type in a 1 if you're listening and you're enjoying this. So glad you guys are here. Oh, you know what? I will put the link in so you can come in right about now. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Rick. So when you come in, I'm going to ignore you until I finish this thing, okay? So Rick, I asked you who wrote this, and it's unsigned. And after reading it, I don't think A. Enoch wrote it. I haven't come across one alliteration. I don't see any contradiction between this guy's writing and our teaching and Brother Knox teaching, but still, his sentences, I think, are longer than Knox sentences. So he's got some cool stuff going on here, but it wasn't Knox. I don't know who it is. But it had to be from like 50 or 70 or 80 years ago because the grammar is too perfect. It's definitely not from our emoji culture. I see you, Ram. Hang on. Okay, so where has this rulership led to? The rulership of Satan, right? Wars upon wars, sorrows upon sorrows, one form of government and administration of earth's affairs following up on the other, everyone a failure, everyone ruined by sin and selfishness of those concerned. And the greatest disappointment for humanity under his leadership seemed just ahead when man proposes to build a better world by his own plans and powers, blind to the fact that a hidden hand works behind the scenes, blind to the fact that Satan's public bankruptcy is almost due, ousted as the ruler of this world system to usher in the rule of Christ. And man had to become a sinner for his own sake. So man had to become a sinner for God's sake, for Christ's sake, for Satan's sake, and now for his own sake. Man had to become a sinner for his own sake. If God and Christ need human love and gratitude to satisfy the longings of their hearts, it is the same with him. He needs the unutterable and never-ending joy of thanking and adoring a Savior and Redeemer from his former woes. He could not appreciate freedom without having experienced slavery. Oh, that's worthy of highlighting. Don't you agree? Yeah, go ahead and write it down in your own journal. He could not appreciate freedom without having experienced slavery. He would not be able to value God's righteousness had he not become unrighteous. He could not realize the grace of the cross had he not been in need of it himself. And last of all, he could never have been prepared for his station with Christ upon his throne had he not been deep in the depths of shame and sin and helplessness. Yikes. Only, I got to highlight that. That's just rock and roll there, baby. Only with this experience behind him will he be fit for the for the exaltation which God has prepared him. Without it, he might glory in himself. Now he can only glory in Christ, knowing that through his indwelling power alone, he will be counted worthy of this, the highest place in all the universe. And if we still need more scriptural proof to show us that God made man in order to bring about his crowning revelation to all that he created, let us consider what Paul says in Ephesians 3:8-10, to bring the evangel of the untraceable riches of Christ, that now may be made known to the sovereignties and the authorities among the celestials through the ecclesia, the multifarious wisdom of God. Got it? The multifarious wisdom of God. And we'll put it in yellow. And how can all the celestial beings together with the terrestrial and subterranean ones bow the knee in the name of Christ? And how can? Because of his having gone to the cross, if they have no knowledge of this event. You know, I got the wording wrong. Let me read that again. Because word order is as important as words. And how can all the celestial beings, together with the terrestrial and subterranean ones, bow the knee in the name of Jesus because of his having gone to the cross, if they have no knowledge of this event? Surely what is written is true, that which the eye did not perceive and the ear did not hear, and to which the heart of man did not ascend, whatever God makes ready for those who are loving him, yet to us God reveals them through his Spirit, for the Spirit is searching all, even the depths of God. Thus also that which is of God no one knows except the Spirit of God. Now we obtain not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we may be perceiving that which has been graciously given to us by God. 1 Corinthians 2:9-12, and that's the end. He starts out, this guy's a good writer, he starts out by saying that we learn this by the Spirit, and his very last paragraph is saying that we learn this by the Spirit. That is a good writer to tie it all back in together. Hello, Ram and Deborah.
Hello, Ace the Flannel Man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you should be on that Red Green show.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
That guy wore flannel all the time. I used to watch that all the time. I couldn't believe some of the stuff they come up with. But anyway, we'll let Ram talk.
Oh, no, I'm not special.
Who says you're not special?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't think I could blather as much as Jill or JG or one of those special honored guests. I'm just not that special.
Yeah, I guess blathering is part of being up there in the church or something, huh? Being able to blather a lot and say a lot of things that nobody understands. Well, you know, Ace, wasn't it Rick who recommended this to you yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've had this for I don't know how long. And I thought, I wonder if that's in my box of goodies from the Concordant. And there it is, just waiting for me to read. But I didn't like the title.
Right.
The Aspect of Creation. I thought, I don't like that title, and I don't think it's going to be a good read. So I didn't read it. See?
Mm-hmm.
A book by its name
So what do you think now after we?
I'm pretty impressed. Felt like I'm up in the second heaven, not quite getting up there. You know how you feel elevated sometime when somebody reads or you
Yeah.
hear something about the Lord. So anyway, yeah, I feel like I'm getting up that Jacob's ladder a little bit higher and higher, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but
Could
this is, I'm going to have to read it a couple of times because this is very, very deep. And now I got my own copyright. So it's got staples in it, and there's rust stains where the staples are.
Oh, that tells you it's about 40 or 50 years old, huh?
Yeah, it's got to be, but it's in really good condition. It's just, I mean, I like that kind of thing because I like getting old stuff.
Mhm.
So, anyway.
Can I quote something?
Go ahead.
It just came to me as an epiphany. For God so loved even his adversaries that he gave his only begotten Son, that he may purpose evil to be in his good intentions. I probably
Nice.
have to reword it. That was a wonderful newsletter, Ace. Had me going, dude.
Yeah.
Sweet. What does it mean that the Spirit is searching even in the depths of God?
Good question. Don't ask me. I just got here 73 years ago.
That's one of those verses I put a question mark on in my Bible. You know, I don't know. When I read through my Bible, I find a lot of verses like that. That's one of them. I mean, what is there to search in God? Doesn't he have everything already searched out already? I never did get that. So when you find the answer, let me know.
Hey, Donna, turn your mic on.
Hey, Ace.
Hi, Donna.
I didn't realize you were on this morning. I've just finished last night's show, which was most excellent. You're explaining to that guy that came in. What was his name?
Green Soul.
Yeah, Green Soul. You and Justin did a good job of answering his questions. So I didn't realize you've been on for 2 hours this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought I'd come in and see what you guys are all about.
So give us a report on the discussion with Green Soul.
Well, he had a lot of questions about free will and about the salvation for all. And you were very patient as far as explaining to him the concordant view and the eons. And, you know, Justin chimed in with a lot of additional information, and you kept simplifying it so that Green Soul could understand. And then you let Timmy in to show his stripes.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, and I didn't realize that you've been on here for a couple hours. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Ram
Hi,
Jam.
Ram
Yeah.
Jam.
Greetings, salutations.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of excited that we didn't believe in the Trinity too. Oh, you don't believe in the Trinity? Huh?
He was very teachable. That's what I liked about Green Soul, unlike Timmy.
He's got ears to hear and eyes to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was a very refreshing show.
Yeah, he wasn't a know-it-all, you know, like Tim is.
Yeah.
Tim is a know-it-all. Who knows? Mostly know-it-alls don't know much of anything.
Yeah, know nothing.
Yeah. So Deborah, when Tim started bad mouthing you, I kicked him out.
Yeah, I see that. Thanks. Yeah, he says, "Oh, go smoke a cigarette, you old bat," or something like that. Not be talking to me. Who else would he be talking to? I'm the only one that comments to him. You know. Yeah. He just. I thought if the guy would tell you why he doesn't like what you say, but he just gives you all these little quips. That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not in the Bible. He never. He just, his stuff is just out there. You can't, like pinning Jello to the wall or whatever. You can't. I can't trace it. Can't. Anyway.
I'm still searching for a polite Christian to come on here.
Well, I think there are good Christians out there. I really believe that, but they aren't coming to our place generally. Okay.
Yeah, I've met a couple of them.
Yeah, there's some good Christians that they probably really do live their life as they say they should. Not perfectly, because nobody can, but I know some that I think are pretty decent people.
Yeah, your show seems to attract the extreme rabble rousers, the extremists.
Yeah,
The zealots.
the ones nobody else will take on their show.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Truly, Ace has a beacon for the lost sheep of the Christian church.
Oh my God. I should go get that examined by a doctor.
But, once in a while, people like what's his name comes.
Jill?
He's teachable. What's his name?
Green Soul.
Yeah, Green Soul. But then before then, I can't think of his name. Yes, P-Town, and he's been teachable.
Yeah.
He still has his questions, but he's learned a lot.
Didn't he admit to becoming a universalist?
Oh,
Wasn't he-
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he before like a full-blooded Christian,
Yeah.
turn or burn?
Kind of like all of us. That's what I was.
And then he made the mistake of telling his in-laws about it, and they were very upset, So
My in-laws were upset even when I turned Christian. I didn't have that much of a religious family.
yeah, my sons were very upset when I turned Christian for a year and a half. No, actually 3 years I was a Christian, believing in hell. And my sons were very upset with me. So I had to tell them, no, everybody's saved. You don't believe, but you're going to be saved. No problem. So I repented of my Christianity to my sons.
I repented of my Christianity.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that reminds me of me thinking about how I even was a little sickened by that even back in those days. So yeah, I remember trying to think to myself, well, hell is obviously just a temporary place. But the signs were always there. I don't know, it's weird. Like back when I was studying the Bible, I would have conversations with people to see if they knew anything about their, religion or spirituality or anything. Get into very deep discussions with strangers. It is very fascinating, Ace, because even before I was a Bible thumping Christian, I remember going to a pool house, and there was a couple there, and they were, laughing, have a good time. They were a very peaceful couple, and I was curious to what their spirituality was. And as I'm talking to them about the biblical scriptures, I was revealed a little nugget of truth when I asked, because during the time I was still scared of hell and everything, and I was like, what? I'm trying not to go to hell by God. And they answered me and they said, well, if you're talking about hell that Jesus talked about, he was referring to an actual place in Israel called Gehenna. And this place was meant to burn trash and everything else. And so we can defer from that, that when Jesus is talking about hell, he's not talking about an eternal place for your soul or spirit. He was talking about a temporary punishment for the people he was talking to. And that stuck with me for a long time. But then I started preaching hellfire and everything. So I guess I was still a little bit stubborn at that point.
Yeah, I was going to mention that stubbornness to you.
Yeah. I'm taking my medicine now.
Try wheatgrass juice. That'll check that attitude.
What was it? Wheatgrass juice?
Wheatgrass juice.
Oh, wheatgrass juice.
It'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget.
It's
gluten free.
It's as disgusting as tasting as it is the title. Wheatgrass juice sounds pretty gross, doesn't it? And it is gross. So
I used to know a lady that ate a wheat germ.
oh yeah, wheat germ
like,
tastes good though.
Really?
It's nutty tasting, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it's not bad. I used to eat it a lot. We used to put it on our cereals and stuff, you know. Thought it was good for you, I guess. Has B vitamins in it, I think.
So how do you know you got wheat germ? It's really hard for me to see bacteria and microbes.
You're so funny.
Well, you know what I was wondering today while you were reading this object of creation?
Yeah.
Which I think needs a better title, but if that's all I can complain about, then I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
so I thought I had to go to the bathroom. I said, I've been doing this for 72 years, going to the bathroom. How many times a day? And then I thought, but you know what? What would happen to you if you couldn't go to the bathroom? And I said, I don't want to know. And I do know, you know, so I thought, okay, just be thankful. Okay. That God still allows me to go to the bathroom. So,
okay, let's call up Tony and get him to change the title of the book. How about the coolest 16-page book you'll ever read in your whole life? There you go.
Yeah, well, actually, mine is 14 pages, so I don't know where you lost 2 of them, or you gained 2 of them.
Oh, anyway, I guess two of the pages were blank. Then maybe that was.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying that it just shows me that I wasn't curious enough to even look into this booklet, because I've probably had it a couple of years, and I haven't even opened it, I don't think. So it's not disparaging the title of it. It's me. I'm pointing the finger at myself, really.
Right.
Because I didn't look into it.
Good shit.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a humble soul, Ace. Do you remember that? You remember that, okay? Next time you want to criticize me, you remember how humble I am here.
You know, when you're pointing at yourself, 4 fingers are pointing at Satan.
Yeah.
That's Satan.
Oh, that's a good one.
You get it? Because if you got your thumb pointing, you know.
Yeah.
I always heard the one where if you point a finger at somebody else, 3 fingers are pointing back at you.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's truth to that, because I certainly can find myself in the criticism I make of others. Say, oh, remember when you did this? Yeah, but that was years and years ago. Yeah, but you did it, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's fun to poke fun at Christianity as a whole, though. Isn't it, Deborah? Isn't it fun to poke fun at
I'm
something?
making fun of myself because I used to believe this stuff, you know. I I believed in almost everything that they preached in churches, because I was selectively looking at the scriptures they were telling me to look at, and I would look at things myself, and I had some disagreements about things, but basically, everything these Christians are talking about, I believed in.
So Deborah, could we say that you like to have fun with self-deprecation?
Self-deprecation. Oh, ram it.
You punters, knock it off.
Don't talk to that guy with the flannel hat on. He's kind of weird. He's our leader. He's our leader, don't you know?
Oh, what was it? The red bandana or something leader?
Yeah, some guy was really. What are you wearing? They call it a rag tag or rag hat or something. I don't. It was really weird. With
the red rag team.
Yeah, or something. Making fun of that. I thought, well, God, he told you why he's wearing it. He was just out in the yard and it's hot. So.
Yeah. If there's water on the carpet, it's there for a reason.
What is this mess?
Yeah. The doggy did it. You lied to me. How dare you lie to me just like your father lies? Oh my God, here we go.
Yeah, well, like when you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden you're on, you said, well, we were started off on this subject. How do we end up way over here?
Now I've got you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Notice how, Ace, you said that, but the example you gave is your mother is given the question. So when you say SOB, what do you mean?
Right, yeah.
I like I just sometimes the funny Christian sayings on here, it can boil some people's skin, but sometimes I can just laugh, right? Like when Amicus comes on here and he's like, oh, I'm not trying to trick you, Ace, right? I'm not trying to get you to admit something. And then later he'll be like, okay, fine. I was a little facetious. I was a little bait and switching you. And then later he'll be like, all right. You know what? I just want to say your universalism is just completely false. And I've proven it. So at the beginning of the conversation, he's innocent. And at the end, he has, the purpose of getting rid of universalism from the framework.
Well, what I'm glad is that Ace is getting all that love stuff from them that I don't have to put up with, because they say, oh, we love you. I love you, Ace. And I just want you to know the truth because I want you to be with me in heaven,
Oh, God.
Oh, my God, I want to puke every time I hear it, And I thought, I'm glad they're throwing that stuff, all the love bombing at Ace, because then it doesn't take long before that love bombing stops, right? Well, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about, And I said, okay, so
I'm pretty sure most of them actually are like 10 Theo, where they're, shaking their fist at Ace and wanting to, say you're gonna burn, right? But they want to stay and keep blathering, so they have to like appease and say, "Oh no, Ace, you're going to heaven with me. You just you're just a little, thick in the skull. You got a little, problem here with universalism, right? So I hear from Jill all the time, like, oh yeah, you're one of us, Ace. You're a little confused, right? So
Yeah.
if they could, they would be like Tim Theo. They'd just be like, you're going to hell, Ace. You don't believe in hell, and to be saved from hell, you need to believe in hell, and then you won't go there.
What a funny premise.
Even though we believe in all the things that, like 1 Corinthians 15 says, we're still disqualified because we have to accept Jesus and we have to ask for forgiveness too. So that's something that I don't do that anymore.
Well, it's funny, Deborah, because we can believe for 1 Corinthians all day and all night, but to say that everyone would believe 1 Corinthians eventually, that's too much. You're putting too much work on God. You need to cool, your role. Obviously, we're special and the rest of everybody else isn't. They're never gonna believe that saying. They're never gonna bow their knee or acclaim with their tongue. If only there was a verse that said that. I wish there was a verse that said that every knee bowed and every tongue acclaimed that Jesus is Lord. Maybe then.
Poof.
There's verses like that even in the Old Testament. There's 3 or 4 of them in the Old Testament that say the same thing. So maybe it doesn't say every, but it says the knees will bow. So God,
I think it says every family will be blessed too.
Sweet.
Yeah, every nation.
Mm-hmm.
But not every orphan. Got to be part of a family somehow.
How about old ladies that smoke cigarettes?
Oh, yeah.
We get in.
Yeah, or widows. Yeah. Judge the widows and the orphans. Yeah, they're not a piece of the pie, so. Wait, doesn't it also say to love and take care of the widows and the orphans?
Oh, my God.
I'm getting mixed messages here.
How about loving your enemies? Aren't we supposed to love our enemies? And I don't say I always do, but I'm just saying, if Jesus can do it better than I can do it, then how come he can't forgive all his enemies? So
He needs you as an example, Deborah. You better get to forgiving.
I don't want to be anybody's example. I'll send him over to Jesus. I think that's your example right there.
Hey, you know what's great?
But I know what you mean. No, we really should be an example, but I fall so short of that. So,
well, you know what? We're a great example. We are the best example God has given to the world. The subject to vanity. We are so vain. We do it so good.
Yeah.
That we'll receive applause from God. Could you imagine at the end of everything, this story and everything, you open your eyes and God is applauding you and saying, well done?
Yeah. You know what? I was just thinking about this theater that we're in and play. And I thought, we don't even have to learn any lines. We don't have to put on a special costume or have rehearsals. This is the real deal. And it's happening exactly the way God. I'm not going to say one thing that God didn't put in my head to say when I needed to say it. And even if I thought that's really a stupid thing or the wrong thing to say, it's still what God put in my head and put in my mouth to say. So it can't be wrong because he put it
I
there.
feel like it's less of a play and more like a show, like those prank shows, like Practical Jokers,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe it's a little of everything, you know, at different
That's
times.
true. That's true.
Because sometimes, you know, you do have your prankster part, and then you have the serious play, and you have
And then you have the Christians being the knife selling show.
the what? The knife.
The knife selling show.
Oh,
You ever flipped past that channel where it's just a bunch of guys selling knives, and they're like, "This knife is really cool. You need this knife."
or like QVC where they sell everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
infomercial.
Yeah. All the junk you don't need that you can't live without, but once you get it, you can live without it before. You know.
Free grace for the lowly price of $7.77.
Oh my
So
God.
I got kicked off of StreamYard, and then my whole internet went down, and I had to unplug and replug in everything. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
making it hard for me to be on the show today.
Oh,
It's all of him. He's trying my technical skills, which are very limited.
It's okay, Donna. I was dealing with the same thing the other day when I was
Yeah.
on Ace's show. I think even Ace's show suffered some technical difficulties.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
I know you were gone and left me and Deborah in the lurch.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi conked out. It took me a couple hours to get it to rework.
Yeah.
If only there was a way we could somehow send a message to StreamYard developers to when that happens, they could just put a poster up that has a cat hanging on a wire and it says, "Hang in there, baby." This El Nino that weather reports are talking about, it's kicking my butt. Not even the AC is helping.
yeah. It's supposed to be. People are dying all over the place in Europe. I don't know the El Nino, but you know, because of the high heat, and then they don't have the. A lot of those places don't have air conditioners, so these people are going out to the water, and some of them are drowning or something. You know, they can't swim or whatever's going on with that. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm suffering right now. The Lake of
Where-
Fire is right next door. My neighbors have had it installed.
Oh, are they burning their other neighbors up or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really make eye contact with them.
Little weird, huh?
Yeah,
So where are you located? Or can you tell?
I'm located on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that if I really wanted to, I could probably drive to where St. Tommy is.
Oh, he's in North Carolina, isn't he?
Yes,
Are you in the northern or southern part of the East Coast, Ram?
The northern southern part.
Oh, okay. I'm in the northern part. I'm in Maine.
Well, hello, northeastern.
Yeah, coastal buddies.
Yeah, I saw there was like a heat advisory for the Washington D.C. area too, where everybody's getting hit by a huge heat wave.
Yeah, it's been pretty hot here the last 2 days. It was in the mid 90s, and it's close to that already today. Then it's going to
Yeah,
cool down. It's going to, at least the heat waves don't last as long in Maine as they do further south.
yeah, it was 87 degrees middle of the night last night.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
same here. Same here.
I had to take a nap this morning, and I woke up to this angelic voice, and it was reading a newsletter, and I was like,
You were in heaven. See, I told you I went to the second heaven when he was reading this. See, so
So
yeah, I
who was
really like
reading,
the part.
who was reading
I
a
really like.
newsletter?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just questioning you. Who was reading the newsletter to you?
I don't know.
Oh,
It
Ace.
sounded like a yeah. Well, at first it sounded like a very hot, very attractive woman, and then I
Oh,
rubbed my eyes, and it was Ace, and I was like, oh no, no, I'm just kidding.
so was it one of those singing AI newsletters?
No, I was making a joke.
Oh,
I literally did wake up from my nap and tuned into the ACO show, and he was reading the newsletter. And from what I gleaned from what I was listening to, I really and thoroughly enjoyed it because it prodded some thoughts that I had had for a while, especially the part where God is, giving his adversary a lot of stuff to play around with, and it just struck my mind of reading, and I think it's Romans where it says that we are enemies. We were enemies to God. So in a way, we are kind of even adversaries at one point or another. So we would be included in on the mess, the potato salad on the wall, and the tomatoes on the floor.
So Donna,
strange way to eat your dinner.
Donna, turn your mic on.
yeah. Yes.
So
Yes.
I read an old book from the Concern called The Object of Creation. So go back and listen to it.
When did you read that?
Boy, you just woke up, huh? I started about 2 hours and 47 minutes ago. and
Oh,
read it.
okay. Yeah. I know because I was listening to your last night's show. I didn't know you were on. Okay, I'll go back and listen to it.
So
I know.
All right. Thank you.
one thing that we learned from this article is the importance of God creating man.
Mm.
And this guy goes step by step and shows how important man is to God in his Aeonian purpose, right? To complete the whole project. And it turns out that, how I have arguments with Jill and Eric and all those knuckleheads, and they don't see God's Aeonian purpose. They don't see the purpose of man. They got a whole mythology all their own, and it barely separates from New Orleans voodooism, right?
Yeah.
But this
Really?
brother, whoever wrote this article, said that man, check this out. I mean, he used complicated words. I mean, very, very proper grammar. He said that man was created to save Satan. I'd never heard such language.
Oh, that's the essay that somebody was talking about that was untyped, that it didn't have
Yeah.
the author.
Right.
I'll have to go back and listen to it.
And so, so So in arguing with Eric and the Christians, they say, you believe Satan will be saved?
Yep.
This goes beyond saying that Satan will be saved. Man was created to be involved in the salvation of Satan.
Yeah.
So
That's so funny because I had an epiphany. I think it was a year back when I read Revelation where it talks about Satan and the false prophet and the other beast and everything. They're thrown into the lake of fire to be tormented. And I was thinking, what if it's not even like what anyone thinks, right? Because to torment a spirit or spiritual celestial being, whoever Satan is, right? I don't think it would be that he would be physically tortured or tormented, right? I think it would be more of like a torment where he basically loses everything that he had in the same way, in the same instance that we kind of lose everything.
some time ago, Brother Tony Nunguster came over and did a miniature study on the word torment and showed us that biblically, the word torment doesn't have anything to do with burning your skin. It has to do with the torment of the mind. Because Satan, you can't burn Satan's skin. He's a spiritual being. He's a supernatural being. So he's not going to be tormented physically. The torment that Satan and the beast and the false prophet have is a mental torment. And Tony didn't say this, but I can imagine that they are tormented in the lake of fire. Their experience is to be tormented. Everybody else has to die in the lake of fire, but they get to be tormented. And I can imagine that they are tormented because they don't want to be in the lake of fire. They want to be out there ginning up animosity toward God, because that gives them a thrill. But now they're tormented. Oh, I got to get out of here because I need to go cause trouble.
Well, that reminds me, Ace, of the last time that Tony was with you. I was, I loved the back and forth and the humor between you two, but I also loved when he first came in, he was talking about Richard Jordan and how he was a King James only person, but, he was also rightly dividing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's part of my Christian journey.
You were a Richard Jordan guy at one time?
Rodney Bollier was a part of the Acts 9 bunch of people, and that's what Richard Jordan and a bunch of other pastors are that still believe in free will, hell, etc., but they pride themselves on rightly dividing and believing in the so-called rapture.
Yeah.
And so I actually went to one of Richard Jordan's conferences back in 2020, January 2020. I went down to Florida and spent a weekend with a bunch of those people.
Yeah.
And then a year later in 2021, Rodney severed himself from the Acts 9 people. And came to believe in the salvation for all and that we didn't have free will. And oh my God, a major battle began because he was friends with all those Acts 9 people and they denounced him. And, so anyways, that was a part of my journey. And so Rodney led me to Clyde Pilkington's thing on the his treatise on the salvation of all. And that led me to Martin, and that led me to you and Deborah and all of the other believers. So,
Donna, I think it's really cool that in the Baptist universe that there is a little club of Baptist preachers called the Acts 9 guys.
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool.
Yeah. And when Rodney tried to, show them that the wisdom to 1 Timothy 4:10, they just were enraged. They were calling him a heretic, and so.
Yep, it's hard to think a new thought.
So I was only a Christian for 3 years, and thank God I was delivered out of it. by Rodney, Clyde, and then Martin and you. Yeah, and the rest of you. And the rest of you, bunch of believers.
Heretics of the world unite.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Really come
And
together.
And that's where I found my friend Deborah, you know.
Yeah, God gave me my friend Donna so I could have somebody to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. All is of God.
Yeah, you know, because I always have questions about why God does things the way he does. And then I say, who am I to question God?
Yeah.
Mhm.
He has his purpose, but I still
know.
do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So for
You
3 years,
sinner.
I was convinced
I'm
that
a heretic. I'm a pagan. Call me what I'm a deplorable. Remember when what's her name called us all deplorables? Okay,
oh yeah.
whatever you want. I don't, I'm not a Trumpster anymore, so I don't know what the word for me now is. But whatever, I'll wear it proudly. So
You're Debrulable. I don't know. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, God gave us governments so that we could realize that they're not going to save us.
that's for dang sure.
Yeah.
How come it took me so long to figure that out?
Yeah.
Hey, Ace, didn't you say that governments are just mafias with a
Yeah.
shiny badge?
Yeah. They are.
Yeah, all governments are criminal organizations with a PR budget to convince us that they are legit.
Yeah, and we're celebrating 250 years of this empire that we live in, you know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this
Happy
government.
4th of July,
Yeah,
everybody.
really. Oh, I know. I mean, we're so free.
Yeah, and they say, well, it's actually Independence Day. And I said,
Yeah.
independence from what? From tyranny?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they'll kind of leave you alone if you background, you don't bug them. But if you want to get out there and fight against the man, they'll make sure you put an end to that real quick, you know.
Yeah.
So, Ram, let me give you a couple of examples of just the natural movement toward being a criminal organization. You know, the government pretends that it's got a legitimacy. Remember in old England, the kings would preach a doctrine called the divine right of kings, which means they could do whatever the hell they wanted without consequence, right? But in America, I think this is a telling story. When the city of New York first decided to form a police department, just before the Civil War got started, right? 1860 or 1855 or whatever, they decided to form a police department for New York City. Well, before that, the Irish mob ruled New York City. And when they formed a police department, the Irish mob sent all of their boys to work in the police department. Get it? Who owns the police department? If all the Irish mob guys are now over at the police department, who really runs the city? And then in a similar story out in the West, in Idaho, there was a town sheriff, and there was a lot of train robberies and bank robberies and such going on, you know. Stagecoach robberies, 3 of them, train robberies, stagecoach robberies, and bank robberies. And the sheriff and his posse were out there trying to catch the bad guys, right? But they could never catch them, strangely. They couldn't just find them or whatever. And so the townspeople in that town got suspicious, and they formed their own posse. And they caught him. And it was the sheriff and his posse that was doing the train robberies, the bank robberies, and the stagecoach robberies.
And his name was Sean Eagle.
And I was his cohort because I'm from Idaho.
Oh yeah, I've known about the corruption of the state ever since I was a kid. I really liked the gangster or mobster personality. I guess, you know, being a young teen, you know, liking all the bad guys, you know, Darth Vader, all that stuff. And I remember reading up on Al Capone, And you know why Al Capone was finally tried by a court and thrown into prison?
Go ahead. Why?
He didn't pay his taxes. Al
Yeah.
Capone was this lead mobster that sold during the Prohibition era millions of gallons of alcohol to the American people and had an entire empire of illegally selling alcoholic goods and everything. And he killed a lot of people. He had a lot of people killed, you know, to keep it a hush-hush empire. And the government, he used to even, I think he even used to advertise that he had all these businesses that, you know, were wink, wink, not alcoholic businesses. And people even liked him during the 40s. But the one thing that the government tried him for was tax evasion. And I always find that story hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like you're in the mob. Do they keep records of where their money is coming from? You know, I mean, how would you prove something like that anyway? But and the thing is all the people that work for him are guilty of the crimes he's guilty. So who's going to come forward and say, well, you know I have something on the guy, you know, and well, you're going to jail too. So. Yeah, I heard that he had soup lines too, and he was feeding poor people so that he could make himself look like a wonderful man.
Yeah, and going back to the divine right of kings, King James, he authorized people, these supposed holy people, to translate the Bible according to his design, to scare the crap, scare the crap out of people, so that they'll, you know, the authorized version by King James.
That's really funny because I think a lot of English kings tried to have their own Bible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they can rule over people with fear.
Well, that hellfire stuff was around long before King James came out. He just kind of personified it more. I mean, the RCC was constantly putting that in people's and the Protestants too.
Yeah. The Protestants didn't fall too far away from Catholicism.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been into a Lutheran church. It's literally a Catholic church, but everyone wears green instead of red.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in Episcopal, and then I went to Lutheran church, and I've been in Catholic churches, and I thought there's the ritualistic way of doing things is so similar, but there's enough difference that I could tell which one was which, but it still was I never felt close to God in those churches. Now, if somebody does, God bless you, but I always felt like I just can't live up to this stuff.
I always felt pretty close to going to hell.
Yeah.
or all my loved ones going to hell if I didn't, like, you know, force them to believe.
If I'm going there, I might as well enjoy myself a little bit on this earth. So, but then I tried to live, but then I thought, well, I'll try to live like I'm supposed to. And I thought, even then I didn't measure up. So no matter what I did, I couldn't. God was teaching me, hey, you're depending on your flesh, you know? I mean, the lesson is learned, Lord. Now it is anyway.
So, Ace, I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Will the devil mourn when his children are destroyed?
I will say no, he will not mourn because they will not be destroyed. except in the aspect that they are the devil's children. And when they are destroyed in that aspect, they'll become children of God, children of the Lord, you know. And so they'll be entirely changed, almost unrecognizable, right? And the devil at the same time will be changed. So he will be unrecognizably beautiful in God as well. So you could say, yes, there'll be a great change. And we could call it destroyed, apolami. But he will be changed along with his so-called children, because his so-called children are actually God's creation as well. And the whole point of creation is to get it moved along to the consummation, when God becomes all in all of the devil's children, and God becomes all in the devil, and God becomes all in Ram and Deborah and Donna. Imagine that. Wow.
Well, I don't know if this helps, but I just was thinking of Paul, and think about how evil and wicked he was, going around killing Christians and putting them in jail. I mean, whole families were disrupted. I mean, there was fear and terror in the Christian community, and all of a sudden he's Mr. Nice Guy, you know. I mean, everybody goes, well, I don't believe. There were people that said, well, I don't know if I'm going to go along with this. I don't think so, you know. So he's kind of an example of that in the hands of the potter, we all change to be what he wants us to be. So
Resets.
he took the worst
Yeah,
in the world and he made him into the greatest apostle, as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
At least
he is also the least of the apostles.
Wow.
It's funny because Jesus says himself, I will make the least the greatest and the greatest the least.
Yeah, and that greatness isn't always recognized here on this earth, because I don't think Paul got the recognition on the earth that he deserved. So I think, you know, and neither did Jesus. So, yeah, because, you know, if a man on this earth has millions of followers and he's supposedly a Christian and all that stuff, you can almost bet he's not. He's got his accolades here.
We're all so special.
Yeah, we are. I don't feel special. I feel blessed.
Hey, at least I can say I can wholeheartedly believe God when he had Paul write 1 Timothy 4:10, because it's a faithful saying and worthy of all welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept in the side chat, I would try to keep on getting Amicus's attention when the conversation went to that topic, because I don't think I even heard any Christians say God is the Savior. Right? They always will say it like, oh, he will save some people.
If they do this, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Or they say, it's my Savior.
Right. If God is the Savior, what can go wrong?
Mhm.
He's already got the firefighter uniform on.
Yeah, as soon as the Christians try to burn us, Christ's going to put it out, right? You're not burning anybody.
What do you think of when people say the refiner's fire, Ace?
I don't know.
I mean, and that word is just purify. I mean, he shall purify all of us in the day that's meant for us to be purified.
Wait a minute. If God is an all-consuming fire, wouldn't that make any mention of fire a good thing in the Bible?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it burns out the crap in us that, the wood, hay, and stubble. That's what the refiner's fire. So then it leaves the pure gold and silver. But there has to be a burning process in order to do that, to get all that out,
And that's the fire element. Yeah.
You got to cook the clay to make the pot.
That's why the whole rich man and Lazarus thing about what the hell is the rich man doing with his body burning when his body's in the grave? It doesn't make any sense, the burning is burning. I mean, just like a lot of my suffering in this world has been facing the things about myself that I don't like, and that God's burning it out of me, and it hurts sometimes. It's very painful to be changed by God. God, it's a slow process too. You think, oh, I'm going to forgive. Yeah. 2 weeks later, you're still holding the grudge, or I'm whatever, or anything that God is trying to burn out of me like that.
Yeah, we all got that mother-in-law, You always do this. It's like the Christian saying, I would never. Well, the mother-in-law will say, you always leave your dirty socks on the floor.
Well, I paid for the floor, so I guess I can do that.
I don't know if there's a lot left going to be purified from me because this heat wave is cooking me right now.
Yeah, me too. Thank God for air conditioning.
Thank God for cold.
Yeah.
Thank God for sinners.
Thank God for God.
Yeah, and where is it in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians where he says we'll appear before the dais of Christ and our impurities will be burnt away or something like that. By fire.
I don't. I have a lot of questions about the dais, especially when it says that God is working and working in us pretty much everything, and even the foundation is Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know. It almost sounds like a sarcastic statement from Paul to 1 Corinthians. I think. Wait, no, it's 2 Corinthians maybe. But I always remember the beginning of Corinthians, the letters, that Paul states to the ecclesia. He's like, you are so fleshly minded. You are so involved in your flesh. And they're all saying, I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos, and I'm here, and I'm approved here. And so when he brings up the works, all I see is God and Christ.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of denominational affiliate, where you ask somebody if they're a Christian and they would say, well, I go to the Baptist church. I'm a Baptist. Or I'm a Lutheran. Or well, I asked if you were they affiliate with the church they go to. I've noticed that a lot. Maybe not so much anymore, but used to be. Boy, once you were in that denomination, that was you. You kind of toed the line for what you believe.
Yeah, I've also heard that the church is the bride. And it confused me even as a Christian to hear that, because I was wondering, like, is Jesus going to marry a building, or
How come men are brides? That doesn't. Um,
it's also
Yeah.
funny when Christians do bring up the parables of Jesus, because I say to myself, and I want to say to them, I'll say, well, the Israelites that were listening to Jesus couldn't even figure it out. What makes you think that you got to figure it all out?
Yeah, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, from verse 10 to 14, he doesn't mention the dais of Christ. He's just saying that anyone's building on this foundation of gold and silver, each one's work will become apparent, and the fire will be testing each one's work. But we shall be saved, yet thus as through fire we'll be saved. Whatever fire is happening, we'll be saved through it.
You want to go ahead and read it for us, Donna?
Okay.
It's right there on the screen.
Oh, good. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And I, brethren, could not speak to you as to spiritual, but as to fleshly, as to minors in Christ. Milk I give you to drink, not solid food. For not as yet were you able, nay, still, not even now are you able. For you are still fleshly. Sure am. For where there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not fleshly and walking according to man? For whenever anyone may be saying, I indeed am of Paul, yet another I of Apollos, will he not be fleshly? What then is Apollos? Now, what is Paul? Servants are they, through whom you believe, and as the Lord gives to each. I plant, Apollos irrigates, but God makes it grow up, so that neither he is who is planting anything, nor he who is irrigating, but God who makes it grow up. Now he who is planting and he who is irrigating are for one thing, yet each will be getting his own wages according to his own toil. And it seems as though he's talking to maybe Israel and the body of Christ here, because this is 1 Corinthians. For God's fellow workers are we, God's farm, God's building are you. According to the grace of God, which is being granted to me as a wise foreman, I lay a foundation, yet another is building on it. Yet let each one beware how he is building it. For other foundation can no one lay besides which is laid, which is in Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone is building on this foundation, gold and silver, precious stones, wood, grass, straw, each one's work will become apparent, for the day will make it evident, for it is being revealed by fire. And the fire, it will be testing each one's work, what kind it is. If anyone's work will be remaining, which he builds on, he will get wages. If anyone's work shall be burned up, he will forfeit it. Yet he shall be saved, yet thus as though through fire. Are you not aware that you are a temple of God, and the Spirit of God is making its home in you? If anyone is corrupting the temple of God, God will be corrupting him. For the temple of God is holy, which are you. Let no one be deluding himself. If anyone among you is presuming to be wise in this eon, let him become stupid. Yes. That he may be becoming wise. For the wisdom of this world is stupidity with God. For it is written, he is clutching the wise. He is clutching the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, that they are vain. So that let no one be boasting in men, for all is yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or the present or that which is impending, all is yours. Yet you are Christ, yet Christ is God's.
I wonder
Us
what that means.
and God's.
Where's the Trinity?
Well, in one of Martin's old conferences, somebody said, "Oh, there's the Trinity. His creation are Christ, and Christ is God. Us, Christ, and God." You know that. Yet we are Christ. Yet Christ is God.
So go ahead and read chapter 4 as well.
Oh my goodness, chapter 4.
Because I was thinking about some special verses in chapter 4 that are thrilling, and chapter 4 has the verse that was in our essay this morning, the object of creation.
Oh,
that's where the verse shows up that we are all theater to the angels. The angels are checking us out. Really? They're watching everything that goes on here.
we're on display, which Greg likes to often refer to.
Yeah, so the angels are looking at what's going on the earth, and they're probably saying among themselves, "Wow, this is just like Michael Douglas filmed the game."
Yeah.
Hey, we've had AI all this time and we didn't even know it. We've been
right.
Yeah. We didn't have, all the technology we have, and God's already been doing it. And I think I was talking to Greg one time. I said, "You mean they're watching me go to the bathroom?" I mean, what the hell? What a thrill, He said, "Yeah, everything you do, you can't do anything on." And I thought, well, there goes the free will thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was, that one in verse 20, it says, he is clutching the wise in their craftiness. I'll have to look into that because I'm still trying to understand what the hell that means. So if you know, let me know.
The craftiness of people like Amicus.
Yeah, I know, but what does that mean? Clutching them?
Yeah, I know that. I paused at that word, clutching. I mean, I think of a clutch on a car, but clutching. Well, that's when you're firmly grasping people, right? So he's clutching them even in their craftiness. He's got his hands on them no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's clutching them, like clutching your pearls,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it, but you said it.
Yeah. Yeah. They think they're so crafty, but God's got them in his clutches.
Well, the way I look at it is when they're home alone and they don't have to prove themselves to anybody, is God really hammering them, mentally? I don't know. Just
God's got them no matter what. No matter
I know.
Yeah.
That's
no matter what.
I'm just talking about here on this earth,
Yeah.
With some of these people, how cocky they can be and self-righteous and know-it-alls and all that stuff,
Yeah.
So, which never happens to me anymore, I'm so far above that. Oh God, don't say that.
You want me to keep reading?
Yes, please.
Thus, let a man be reckoning with us as deputies of Christ and administrators of God's secrets.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Very early on, he was talking about God's secrets. Here, furthermore, it is being sought in administrators that any such may be found faithful. Now, to me, it is the least trifle that that I may be being examined by you or by man's day. And that's what we're in. We're in man's day, right?
Moment, yeah.
Yeah. But neither am I examining myself. For of nothing am I conscious as to myself, but not by this aim am I justified. Now, he who is examining me is the Lord. 1 Corinthians 4:5. So that be not judging anything before the season. I love that verse. Till the Lord should be coming, who will also illuminate the hidden things of darkness and manifest the counsels of the hearts. Won't that be great? And then applause will be coming to each one from God.
There it is.
Yeah. Now these things, brethren, I transfer in a figure to myself and Apollos because of you, that in us you may be learning not to be disposed above what is written, that you may not be puffed up one over the other against the other. For who is making you to discriminate? Now what have you which you did not obtain? Now, if you obtained it also, why are you boasting as though not obtaining? Yeah. Already are you sated. Already are you rich. Apart from us, you reign. And would that you surely reign, that we also should be reigning together with you. For I suppose that God demonstrates with us, the last apostles, as death doomed, for we became a theater to the world and to messengers and to men. So there it is. We're a theater to the world and to the messengers, the angels, and to men. Wow. We are stupid because of Christ, yet you are prudent in Christ. We are weak, yet you are strong. You are glorious, yet we are dishonored. Until the present hour, we are hungering also and thirsting, and are naked and buffeted and unsettled and toiling, working with our own hands. Being reviled, we are blessing. Being persecuted, we are bearing it. Yes. Being calumniated, we are entreating. As the offscourings of the world, we became the scum of all things hitherto. Not to be abashing you am I writing these things, but as my children, beloved, am I admonishing you. For if you should be having 10,000 escorts in Christ, nevertheless, not many fathers, for in Christ Jesus, through the evangel, I beget you. Oh yeah, and that's good news. I am entreating you then, become imitators of me. Therefore I send Timothy to you, who is my beloved and faithful child in the Lord, who will be reminding you of my ways which are in Christ Jesus, according as I am teaching everywhere in every ecclesia. Now some were puffed up as though I were not coming to you. Yet I shall be coming to you swiftly, if ever the Lord should be willing, and I will know not the power of those who are puffed up, but the power. I will know not the power, not the word of those who are puffed up, but the power. Okay. For not in word is the kingdom of God, but in power. Let's see. What are you wanting? With a rod may I be coming to you, or in love and in the spirit of meekness.
Keep going. This is cool.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I read this often, but it's just there's a lot to take in. Absolutely, it is heard that there is prostitution among you, and such prostitution which is not even named among the nations, so that someone has his father's wife, and you are puffed up and mourn not rather that the one who commits this act may be taken away from your midst. For I indeed, being absent in the body, yet present in spirit, have already, as if present, thus judged the one affecting this. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, you being gathered and my spirit together with the power of Lord Jesus, to give such a one to Satan for the extermination of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved. Yeah. Who cares that the flesh is exterminated? In the day of the Lord Jesus. And that's what we're longing for, the day of the Lord. Not ideal as your boast. Are you not aware that a little leaven is leavening the whole kneading? Clean out then the old leaven, that you may be a fresh kneading, according as you are unleavened. For our Passover also, Christ was sacrificed for our sakes. For our Passover, yeah, that we pass over from death to life, so that we may be keeping the festival, not with old leaven, nor yet with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with unleavened sincerity and truth. I write to you in the epistle not to be commingling with paramours. And undoubtedly, it is not as to the paramours of this world, or the greedy, or extortionate, or idolaters, else consequently you ought to come out of the world. Yet now I write to you to be commingling with one another, named a brother, if he should be a paramour, or greedy, or an idolater, or a reviler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such a one you are not even to be eating. For what is it to me to be judging those outside? You are not judging those within. Now those outside, God is judging. Expel the wicked one from among yourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
Keep going.
Oh, goodness. Dare any of you having business with another be judged before the unjust and not before the saints? Or are you aware that the saints shall judge the world? That's quite a statement.
Yeah.
And if the world is being judged by you, are you unworthy of the least tribunals? Are you not aware that we shall be judging messengers, not to mention life's affairs? So we'll be judging messengers and also life's affairs. Are you aware that we shall be judging messengers? Okay, I just read that. If indeed, then you should have tribunals for life's affairs, the contemptible in the ecclesias, these you are seating. To abash you, I'm saying this. Thus is there not among you a wise man who will be able to adjudicate amidst his brethren. But brother is suing brother, and this before unbelievers. Already indeed, then, it is absolutely a discomfiture for you that you are having lawsuits among yourselves. Wherefore are you not rather being injured? Wherefore are you not rather being cheated? But you are injuring and cheating, and this to brethren? Or are you not aware that the unjust shall not be enjoying the allotment of God's kingdom? So, yeah, this is kind of Israel stuff. You know,
It does sound like it, right?
yeah, the allotment of God's kingdom. Be not deceived, neither paramours, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor catamites, nor sodomites, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, no revilers, no extortioners shall be enjoying the allotment of God's kingdom. Yeah, they're going to have a long time out. And some of you were these, but you are bathed off. Huh. But you are hallowed. Oh, I see. Yeah. But you were justified in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ by the Spirit of God. All is allowed me, but not all is expedient. All is allowed me, but I will not be put under its authority by anything. Foods for the bowels, and the bowels for foods, yet God will be discarding these as well as those. Now, the body is not for prostitution, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. Now, God rouses the Lord also, and will be rousing us up through his power.
Sweet.
I know. Can you imagine the power it took to raise Christ from the dead?
Yeah, and God's
Oh
just
my God. And can you imagine how powerful when he raises everybody else?
yeah.
That will be like, wow, super, super duper. Are you not aware that your bodies are members of Christ? Taking them, the members of Christ, taking them, the members of Christ away. Should I be making them members of a prostitute? May it not be coming to that.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. Or are you not aware that he who joins a prostitute is one body? For he is averring the two will be one flesh. Now, he who joins the Lord is one spirit. Flee from prostitution. The penalty of every sin. Whatsoever a man should be doing is outside of the body. Yet he who is committing prostitution is sinning against his own body. Or are you not aware that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? Let's see, where was I? Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Oh, yeah, in you, which you have from God. And you are not your own.
Oh, I love that phrase.
You
Read
are
that.
not your own. Yeah, we belong to somebody else. I wonder who. For you are bought with a price. Yeah. By all means, glorify God in your body. Wow. Now, concerning what you write to me, it is ideal for a man not to be touching a woman. Yet because of prostitutions, let each man have a wife for himself and each woman have her own husband. Yeah, let the husband render to the wife her due, yet likewise the wife also to the husband. The wife has not the jurisdiction of her own body, but the husband. Yet likewise the husband also has not the jurisdiction of his own body, but the wife. Do not deprive one another, except sometime it should be by agreement for a period, that you should have leisure for prayer, and you be the same. Again, lest Satan may be trying you because of your incontinence. Yeah. In other words, don't be a sex addict. Now, this I am saying as a concession, not as an injunction. For I want all men to be as I myself also. but each has his own gracious gift from God. One indeed thus, yet one thus.
What does that mean? Now, this I am saying as a concession, not as an injunction.
Well, I think he's saying that, that you're conceding to this, but it's not a law, because he's talking about, for I want all men to be as myself. And I assume that means Paul was not married.
Right.
But each has his own gracious gift from God. One indeed thus, yet one thus. Now I am saying to the unmarried and the widows that it is ideal for them if ever they should be remaining, even as I. So Paul, again, is alluding to the fact that he's not married. Yeah, and since I haven't been married for over 30 years, it's much easier to study the Lord. I don't have that distraction anymore. Yet, if they are not controlling themselves, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to be on fire. Yeah. Now, to the married, I am charging not I, but the Lord. A wife is not to be separated from her husband. Yet, if she should be separated also, let her remain unmarried or be conciliated to her husband. And a husband is not to leave his wife. Now, to the rest am I speaking. Now, to the rest am I speaking, not the Lord. If any brother has an unbelieving wife and she approves of making a home with him, let him not leave her. And a wife who has an unbelieving husband and he approves of making a home with her, let her not leave her husband. For the unbelieving husband is hallowed by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is hallowed by the brother. Else, consequently, your children are unclean, yet now they are holy. Yeah, and that's a confusing verse to a lot of people, because some Christians believe that if you're a believer, then the children are automatically saved. Well, that's ultimately true in the absolute sense. Yeah. Yet if the unbeliever is separating, let him separate. A brother or a sister is not enslaved in such a case. Now God has called us in peace. Aren't we blessed? For of what are you aware, O wife? Will you be saving your husband? Or of what are you aware, O husband? Will you be saving your wife? Except as the Lord parts it to each as God has called him. Thus let him be walking. And thus am I prescribing in all the ecclesias. Was anyone called having been circumcised? Let him not be decircumcised. If anyone called in uncircumcision, let him not circumcise. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the precepts of God, each one in the calling in which he was called. And this let him be remaining. Were you called a slave? Let it not be causing you care. But if you are able to become free also, use it rather. For in the Lord, who is being called a slave, is the Lord's freedman. What does that mean? For the Lord, who is being called a slave, is the Lord's freedman. Likewise, he who is being called being free is a slave of Christ. With a price are you bought. Do not become the slaves of men, each one in what he was called brethren. In this, let him remain with God. Now, concerning the celibates or virgins, I have no injunction of the Lord. Yet an opinion am I giving as one who has enjoyed mercy by the Lord to be faithful. I am inferring then this ideal to be inherent because of the present necessity, for it is ideal for humanity to be thus. You are bound to a wife. Do not seek to be loosed. Apolumi. You have been you have been loosed from a wife. Do not seek a wife. Yeah.
That's pretty good, Donna, that you would remember that.
Well, I've got it written down on my calendar so that I'll remember it. Apolumi, from whole loose. Because I struggled with that the other day. Yet, if you should be marrying also, you did not sin. And if the virgin should be marrying, she did not sin. Yet affliction in the flesh will such be having. Yet I am sparing you. Now this I am averring, brethren, the era is limited. That furthermore, those also having wives may be as not having them, and those lamenting as not lamenting. And here I think of what Martin said just a couple of days ago. And those rejoicing as not rejoicing, and those buying as not retaining. And those using and those using this world as not using it up, for the fashion of this world is passing by. Now I want you to be without worry. The unmarried one is solicitous about the things of the Lord, how he should be pleasing the Lord. Yet he who is married, who marries, is solicitous about the things of the world, how he should be pleasing his wife, and is parted. The unmarried woman, as well as the virgin, the unmarried one is solicitous about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy in body as well as in spirit. Yet she who marries is solicitous about the things of the world, how she should be pleasing her husband. Now, this I am saying for your own experience, that not that I should be casting a noose over you, but for that which is respectable and assiduous, to be undistractedly for the Lord. Yeah, and it's hard not to be distracted by the world, never mind relationships. But if anyone is inferring it to be indecent for his virgin, if she should be over her meridian, I don't know what that means, if she should be over her meridian, and thus it ought to occur that he will let him do. He is not sinning. Let them marry. Oh, I guess if she be past her prime, maybe. Yeah. Yet he who stands settled in his heart, and having no necessity, has no authority as to his own will, and has decided this in his own heart to be keeping his virgin, ideally will be doing. So that he also, who is taking his virgin in marriage, ideally will be doing, yet he who is not taking out of marriage will be doing better. A wife is bound by law for whatever time her husband is living. Yet if the husband should be reposing, she's free to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. Yet happier is she if ever she should be remaining thus, according to my opinion. Now I presume that I also have God's spirit. Well, it looks like there's a lot of information coming up. Do you want me to keep reading? Or do you want someone else to read?
I think we can stop there.
Yeah. That was a lot to digest.
Yeah.
Will you all marry me?
Okay, when? I'm busy on
Already
Wednesday.
having wedding bells.
I'm busy.
I
on
gotta get a wedding dress.
I gotta prepare the. I gotta prepare the groom's wine.
Well, we have to wait for the group for the. That's where the 10 virgin thing. 5 of them were waiting for the groom because that's what the groom did before he got married. He came into town. You didn't know when he was coming, so he could come any day to marry his wife. It's kind of crazy now because everybody has their wedding date and time and all that figured out. But back then, he just kind of, well, let's get married now, and here he comes. So if she wasn't ready, then she didn't get married. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the bride of Christ. I like being a member of his body.
Yeah, it's much more intimate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because a bride is just one person all by herself with her own husband.
And I've been a bride enough times.
I've only been a bride once, and that was enough for me. So I could be a big foot and kick everybody in the ass. I could kick Jill and Timmy, other people in the butt. If God wants me to be a foot, I'll be a foot. But I need my leg too. Somebody will have to be the leg, kick my foot. Well, whatever, however that works.
If I'm the elbow of Christ, will he scratch me once in a while?
Well, you need your hand, don't you?
I think we're all going to have different functions in Christ's body, but he's the head. And we don't have to take it so literal that I'm his fingernail,
We're just being funny.
Yeah.
I know.
And Paul even alludes to that. He's like, well, Christ needs each of his body parts.
Yeah.
Your full body, so.
And when God is all in all, we'll all be a part of his body. We'll be all a part of God. I mean, there's not going to be any Israel versus the body of Christ. We're all going to be in God.
And God in us.
Yeah.
Unless you're a 5-point Calvinist, then it'll be some of God and some of you.
Yeah.
2% milk, something.
Well,